Let's first read a scripture. It's not going to be a lot of biblical stuff, but at least we can have one scripture we can throw in there, right? First Corinthians chapter 6, verses 19 and 20. Let me see here. I guess this is the New Living Translation. Let me see if I can get, okay, here we go. New King James. Or do you not know that your body is the temple of the Holy Spirit who is in you, whom you have from God, and you are not your own, for you were bought at a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. Amen. Yeah, the context is a bit avoiding sexual immorality and things like that. But again, there's more to it than that. But taking care of the body, right? Because body is the container. And if the container is all broken down, if the container isn't functional, then the spirit is kind of useless, right? What keeps us here on the planet, on earth, doing the will of God is the body, the temple. So we're going to focus during this seminar on how to keep the temple healthy and maintain a healthy, well temple. You know, this is about health and wellness. The main focus will be the body, but it'll also be a lot about the mind. You will find out how much of the mind is involved. I think a proof tonight of maybe some people that didn't come because in their mind, I don't know, they didn't think they needed it, or they were scared to be here because they thought they would get convicted. No, I'm serious. You know me by now. Pastor Corey's going to say it as it is. But we're going to get into some great things, and my goal here is to inform, and we're going to do Q&A again. Everybody knows Lexi. She's not only our Unite director, but prior to coming on staff, she was also a life health coach. I'm sorry, not life coach, but well, I guess life too. Health coach, and she'll share a little bit of her journey, and she helped multitudes of, well, I don't know, she helped a lot of people in the church to really lose weight and get healthy, so she can talk about that. Daniela Yanez, well, she's she's in the dental field, the holistic dentistry, but she's also now a licensed practitioner of basically natural medicine, and so she's got a lot that she can contribute. And then Gloria G here, she's also a licensed natural medicine, functional medicine practitioner. And she's also helped several people here in the church, including Lexi. She'll probably share a little bit about that. So I wanted them to have them up here. Tonight is going to be very foundational. I think we're going to focus more on nutrition, and then we're going to go from there. But I'm going to introduce this, and let me see here if you can throw that up for me, the tree of disease. And this is not mine. I got this from Dr. Bernstein, who helps my wife and myself. But and this is true. The root cause of all. Maybe you can put that here in the. There we go. Okay. Can everybody see that? At the root of everything, all disease, sickness and disease comes from either toxins or trauma, okay? Either toxins or trauma, and which leads to inflammation in your body. Most people live with inflammation, they don't realize, and we'll talk a lot about inflammation. She actually, her company is called Inflammation Alleviation, so she focuses a lot on that. And then that leads to what we call mitochondrial malfunction. Mitochondria are the key to the cell. They're like the heart of the cell, the brain of the cell. They are the cell powerhouses. When we talk about like a cancerous cell, that's when the cancer, the cell is breaking down, the mitochondria is breaking down, the cell is no longer functioning properly, it's malfunctioning, right? And so many other things. So when the mitochondria break down, the cell breaks down, it's going to lead to reduced energy, and then it's going to lead to all these other things, infections, diabetes, thyroid, cancer, lung disorder, autoimmune disease, spinal issues, heart issues, dementia, kidney, all the things related to the brain. We're finding out things with like Alzheimer and Parkinson's, it's actually, a lot of it is just from the toxins that are getting in the brain, really, heavy metals and other things. So, of course, a huge part of the toxins also, a lot of people don't realize that are vaccines. If we were to put this on YouTube, it would be taken down immediately because, the vaccine agenda, we expose it. But and emotional disorders, digestive disorders, strokes, hormonal imbalance, liver disease, insulin resistance, and many, many, many other things, right? So these are all the different things that come up. So we're gonna talk, I'm gonna personally talk about toxins and trauma, and then we're gonna start to see, we're gonna flow in the Holy Ghost and see how it goes. And then if you go to the tree of health, the next one right there, and again, like I said, I got this from Dr. Bernstein. He runs Advanced Wellness Center down in Fort Lauderdale. We were there this afternoon. I took Pastor Rose again. She sees him weekly. She's doing really well. And I like the way, he put the tree of death and tree of life. That's really the two trees, The wrong choices lead to death, and the right choices lead to life. But the energy, the mitochondria, and then it's going to lead to, and then, you got positive mindset. That's, the mind is big. Water is a big part. I want to talk about water tonight. Sunlight. I go sit out in the sun. I try to go, especially in the morning sun, I go try to sit out 15, 20 minutes in the morning sun. It's very, very important that you have to go sit out in the sun. And wonderful that we live here in Florida where we have the sun. A lot of people don't have the sun where they live. Proper diet is very, very important. Rest, of course. Exercise. I got in a pretty good workout this afternoon, thank God. It's been a little bit challenging with everything I'm dealing with, but I got in a pretty good workout today. Fresh air, of course, balanced lifestyle, nutritional supplements. That's something probably we're gonna get into more next week. Spinal alignment and prayer, of course. I like what Dr. Bernstein says there. We'll make these available for you. I guess I'll have to get his permission, but I'm sure he won't mind. I don't know. All right. So keep that one up there. So I'm just reading from his pamphlet here because I totally understand and agree with everything. And I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my journey. Well, let me actually do that real quick. So, back in April of last year when Pastor Rose really started to have a lot of digestive issues, it was crazy amounts of bloating, gas. Nonstop belching for like 6, 7, 8 hours that kept her up at night for many, many nights. And we went the traditional route, and I'm very, very frustrated. I knew I would be coming from Turkey to America. I knew not to go to the hospitals and trust in the medical system here because it's very frustrating. Just to even get a stupid, MRI, it could take you like 3 months. You got to go see the primary doctor, then they're going to refer you to the specialist. You may be able to book an appointment 2 months ahead, 2 months down the line. You know how it is. It's so broken. Okay, it's so broken. So we worked with a GI doctor. She did the endoscopy, colonoscopy, all that stuff. And she just said, you have some inflammation in your guts, in your intestines, and you have gastritis, take Gas-X. Seriously. And she was losing weight, not able to eat. It was really rough. 3 times she ended up in the emergency room in May. We weren't going anywhere. Prior to this, a friend of mine who, you guys know the Zone 5. Zone 5, how many of you know about the Zone 5 guys? It's a company that, that a lot of their guys are in our church because they have an office here. And so Zone 5, they do the U.S. solar and the roofing, all that. So Miguel Delgado, who is the CEO of the company, I was talking to him back in February, and he was telling me about how, I saw him actually, he had lost 30 pounds. He was looking healthy, and he told me he had gotten to a very bad place. He thought he was having a heart attack. He was overweight. He wasn't sleeping. It was a big mess. So he had gone to see this holistic doctor. And so we had tried to make contact with her, but something happened. And in March, we couldn't get in. And there was some changes in our office. So I didn't get Pastor Rose in there. And then finally, I got her in there in June. And she started to work with the very first question she asked my wife, you eat a lot of sushi? She's like, I love sushi. She goes, you got parasites. And we started this journey, and our lives and our eyes were open to a whole new realm, which in Turkey we did have some holistic practitioners in my church. We had some Russians and Ukrainians, and they would come and, I knew about certain things and, nutrition. We'd always try to be very careful, with supplements and things like that. But we basically got introduced to this holistic practice. And so we've been, and so my wife started to work with her. And then eventually, now she's working locally because I needed somebody that she could see every week locally, not every 3 months, up in Lake Mary, which is like a 4-hour drive. So now she sees Dr. Bernstein. Now these people are out of the box, and they do not work with what we call allopathic medicine, which is your basic pharmaceutical, big pharma stuff, right? Big pharma products. They work with homeopathic and holistic and herbal and natural medicine. Well, I say medicine because God created them, and all the plants and everything that they are, God created them, and they have incredible, potential and incredible things that they can do for our bodies. We just have to know. So this last, year has been a very, very educational time for me. I study all the time. I follow a lot of people online. I watch a lot of videos. I read a lot. I actually started a certification, but I'm so busy I can't do it. I told Rose today driving back, I said, once we're in the clear with this thing, and she's almost there. I'm telling you, she's very, very close. I was like, I'm gonna dedicate like a couple of weeks. I'm just gonna lock myself in, and I'm actually gonna get certified because I'm a doctor and I want to be like a doctor, but because I'm so turned on, and I'm also very frustrated with what's going on because and then I feel a burden for people to help people, and I'm so happy that God's put. And I know, Rose is over there. I've never really got a chance to, and we need to sit down and talk with Rose. Petrites, right? Did I say it right? Petrites, thank you. I know she's also a naturopath, or you practice holistic medicine, and I've never really got to connect with you, talk to you about it, but I would love to find out more about what you do as well. But and I know about these three because, and then I was also going to have Denise Skinner here tonight, but she's out of town, and her husband, they're fighting for right now we're fighting for Patrick's life. Be in prayer. She took him to healing school in Tampa. And so Daniela has helped my wife. So has Gloria, and so has Denise. They've come and visited, and they talk to her regularly. And it's good to have people in the church, that you can bounce some things off of. And we have actually found some gaps, with the various doctors that we have gone into, and they've come in to bring in some additional information or even some product knowledge that helped us. We were able to take some certain products, to Dr. Bernstein to actually test and said, oh, this is a good one. And so it really helped Rose. And so, there's so much out there, right? So, I want to get into, I actually said two things here that I want to focus on. In a sense, detoxing your body and then detoxing your home. I don't know how far we will get with these things, but the number one thing about detoxing your body, of course, is going to be the food you eat, whatever goes in. But it's not just the food; it's what you put on your body. The pharmaceuticals people are taking, and the makeup, and the deodorants, and all kinds of, even the toothpaste. I've told people don't use fluoride toothpaste. They're like, huh? Yeah, fluoride is poisonous. Don't use fluoride toothpaste. And it's the most basic stuff that people don't know. So we want to get into some of these things. So I have gone through, and I'm currently still doing it. Since June, every 3 months, I do a new protocol with my doctor. And she uses a biomarker reading, a technology that reads your biomarkers. It reads over 1,000 plus, I don't even know how many biomarkers in your body to see what's going on in your body, and then customizes a protocol to help you, with whatever's going on, whether it's detoxing parasites or heavy metals or killing off viruses, or leftover viruses from years and years ago, or leftover things from vaccines from childhood, or pesticides or insecticides, stuff that many of the times is out of our control. Like I've talked about the chemtrails here, right? The stuff that they spray, over 40 different chemicals that they spray in the air, and some of them are so toxic and poisonous. One of them they gave to lab rats. All the lab rats were dead in 3 days. And this stuff is being sprayed in the air. So and that's something out of your control, right? But you can definitely protect yourself. So, pesticides, insecticides, yeast, candida, heavy metals, parasites, all these are all toxins, right? These are all toxins, or food additives, just the bad food that we've eaten, the dyes and the literally crap that's in the food, that's in your body, that's wreaking havoc, a lot of different things. So, I not only, detox and keep up, maintain, also have supplements to support. So there's things that you need to support your body, support your liver, support your kidney, support your brain, support your sleep. I had a lot of sleep issues because I live a very tense, very intense life. So sleep was a problem for me, and so she helped me to get my sleep on. I learned a lot about sleep. I learned a lot about the body. I learned a lot about stress and just a lot of different things. And so, but not only that, I've also learned to just how to walk in peace and just become more even keeled. And there's a lot of things you can do physically, mentally. So this is a big realm we're stepping into, right? But I talked about the toxins or trauma. Well, what is trauma? Obviously, number one is if you go back to death, the tree of death. There you go. So toxins and trauma at the bottom. Well, physical, right? You fell, broken arm, you had an auto accident, a sports injury, something of an injury. That's a trauma, right? That's a trauma to the body. Obviously, that's going to cause issues in your body, right? Second is dietary. Poor quality foods, excess sugar, gluten. I am totally gluten-free. I'm wheat-free. I do very little carbohydrates, and when I do, I do only like the einkorn, original wheat and stuff like that. So, but sugar, oh my God, so dietary, we're gonna start to focus on that a little bit. So what people don't realize is a lot of what you've been eating is actually toxic and has been poisoning your body, all right? The third is chemicals, chemical toxins. These are pesticides, plastics. I think I shared this at the church, and I saw a statistic, it blew my mind, that the average American is consuming about one credit card worth of plastic weekly. That's terrible. And you know what those microplastics do? Number one, if they go to your brain, that's what Alzheimer and Parkinson's come from. All these microplastics and all these other things, and everything's wrapped in plastic now. So I had to detox my home. I threw away all the plastic containers, everything. Only went all glass and stainless steel, all right? And I threw away all the aluminum and the Teflon. How many of you wrap things in aluminum and you cook it in aluminum? Do you know how bad that is? I used to wrap the asparagus in the aluminum and put it in the grill. I don't do that anymore because aluminum is a heavy metal that's toxic. You don't want to ingest this. So the chemicals, there's pesticides, plastics, medication, cigarette smoke. Every time I go to Turkey, I end up smoking a pack of cigarettes in about 2 weeks because everybody smoke everywhere and you get the secondhand smoke, whether you like it or not. It's terrible. But you get around things, and so you end up, right? You are what you absorb, You are what you absorb. You're not necessarily what you eat. A lot of stuff you eat, you may not be absorbing. Or you may be drinking water and not even absorbing it, still being dehydrated. Water is a whole other thing. We'll talk about that. And then, so these chemicals are terrible. And then number 4 is metals. One of the issues that Pastor Rose is actually, the root cause of why everything broke down for her was mercury. In 2018, she was in Turkey and she had the old amalgam silver fillings, 4 of them. She just went to our local dentist. I wasn't there. I went for a week and came back to America. She stayed with her mom for a month. And Gloria was there and everything. So she just went to the local dentist, said, I don't like the black, take them out, they just drilled them out normally, which you don't do that. And she ingested a lot of mercury. So there's actually mercury that she's going to be dealing with once she's done with everything. Dr. Bernstein's going to work because he's not pulling that mercury out right now. He has a method through frequencies to neutralize the effects on the body, because he's got to get all the parasites and done, which she's very close to being done with that. But mercury is a big deal. And then I just had a whole bunch of that, the old amalgam fillings removed in Turkey, and there's a special method to do that. You can't just drill them out and whatever, you got to really protect, because that mercury gas is toxic. Little tiny bit of mercury, if it gets in your body, it'll travel all throughout your body. It'll go to your brain, it'll go to different parts of your body and wreak havoc in your life. So will aluminum, and so will microplastics. And these are some of the biggest toxins in our lifetime, in our modern day, that we are not aware of. We're not, we don't really understand, but it's there. Aluminum, mercury, lead, a lot of these things, right? Metals, especially the heavy metals. I had high doses of cadmium that I had to detox from, and I asked my doctor, I said, where did I get cadmium from? She said, most likely you got it from chocolate. I like chocolate. So I got to be even very careful with the chocolate that I eat. Make sure I researched and found a couple of brands that are cadmium free. That's the only one I eat, because most of the chocolate has cadmium in it, which is a heavy metal. It's a toxic heavy metal. You're eating chocolate, you love it, you think it's a great brand, but you're getting a toxin in your body. So all the stuff I had to learn. The fifth type of toxin is, of course, microbial. That could be viruses, bacteria, parasites, and candida. How many of you have heard of candida? You had a major issue with candida that you really had to deal with, and she'll talk about that, right? So viruses, bacteria, parasites, candida. Now, you go to a regular, especially now, you go to a GI doctor, they don't even think about parasites. It's not even in their realm of thinking. They don't even look for them. They don't even check for them. They don't even understand them. You tell them you have a parasite, they laugh at you like, yeah, whatever. But 80% of people on the planet have parasites. So 8 out of 10 in this room have parasites. Now that doesn't mean, you're in trouble, but when you start to get an overgrowth, when your immune system breaks down and your body can't keep them in check, or you're not healthy, and they can become very, very toxic, and they can grow, some of these tapeworms that people get from sushi. And I found out Pastor Rose and I, we used to eat sushi. That's where we got it from. I will not eat sushi again, because I just found out sushi is very dangerous, because there's been over 5,000% increase in parasites in fish over the last couple of decades because of the toxicity of the waters, of the oceans. You know that there's an island, plastic island, the size of Texas, floating in the ocean right now. And I mean, it's massive amounts of pollution in the oceans and in the rivers. And of course, the fish ingest it, just like we ingest the microplastics, and then the more toxin are in the fish or in the animals, the more parasites they get. So toxins and parasites, they love each other. They feed on each other. They're like demons and offense, toxic emotions and demons they're attracted to. Seriously, I found out these parasites are literally like demons, and when they die, when you get a strong, that's what happened with Pastor Rose. The first protocol, she had very strong die-off, and she had what they call the Herxheimer so badly, she was completely crashed, and her liver was crashing. She was in bad shape, and because it was overdone. And so you got to do things also very, very carefully, because a lot of people, you can just jump on some website. Hey, it's a parasite cleanse. You take it and you don't even know what you're doing. You can actually hurt yourself more than you help yourself, right? So that's why, like with her system, there is phases that she'll take you through, that she went through, to help you, all of that stuff. Because you got to get the foundation, you got to get the support and everything, and you got to open up your detox pathways. You got to make sure that your methylation is right. Otherwise, it's just going to recirculate in your body. It's going to go from one place to another, and you're going to end up in bad shape. So, so the microbial stuff is very, very real. Viruses, right? And they're manufacturing viruses right now, okay? Right? COVID-19 was a lab-grown bioweapon. And so was the COVID jab, the vaccine they gave everybody. And now the studies are all coming out. Everything's being exposed. And that billions of people got this vaccine, and now they're actually getting sick because of the vaccine. And because the graphene oxide in the vaccine and all the other stuff, it's terrible. It was poison. It was actually a biological weapon by the globalists for population reduction. So the virus was just a means to an end, which was really to jab everybody. So I didn't take it. I never will. And if you took it, you need to detox from it. And they can help you with that. Prayer is good, but there's other things you can do to get that stuff out of your body. Now, when I went to Dr. Moika, she checked my biomarkers. She goes, you have the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in you for the COVID. I said, I never took a vaccine. She goes, yeah, but people that took it were shedding. So yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So I had to detox from all of that stuff. And I'll actually be seeing her again next week on Tuesday. So we'll see where I'm at, because I see her every 3 months. Number 6, electromagnetic. Oh my God, we don't realize how much we are bombarded with EMF. I wear the EMF blocker bracelet, and this actually helped me. I had so little jet lag. I was shocked at how little jet lag I had because I wore this. And you can get different ones. You can get like little pendants. You can get like sports watch looking things. You can get nicer ones. It's a tiny thing, but this is an EMF blocker. And I also bought a little EMF, and Denise helped us with that. She came with a little EMF meter that I ordered. She went around the house. Pastor Rose was getting all these heart palpitations. She's like, oh my God, what's wrong with my heart? Well, we have a power bed, like one of those, things. And right where she sleeps, literally right under her heart was the whole brains of the thing. When Denise came and put that thing on the bed, it went. So I bought all this Faraday fabric, and I put 3 layers of Faraday fabric under the mattress, and now you put the meter, and it doesn't even move the needle. So, and all the heart palpitations went away. And then Denise walks in, she goes, and then she, and then we have like an air quality meter that we used for Valaro too. I have one, and then she was checking. She goes, "There's something bad here in your bedroom." And then she goes, and then it was mothballs. My wife, I didn't have any. I put the little cedar planks, but she had a whole box of mothballs in her closet, which is so toxic. I immediately threw them out because I don't go in her closet, right? But I had the cedar planks because I know better than putting mothballs, but she wasn't thinking. It was just, it had been there for a long time. Just basic stuff like that. We don't even think about it, right? So you got to detox your home as well from, and there's a lot, that we need to, oh, what happened? Okay, here we go. So electromagnetic, which is cell phones. So I got this one. This is actually a safe sleeve, radiation protection, right? If I take my little EMF meter and I put it on the phone, it goes, and then I close it, I put it on there, it barely moves the needle. You got to protect yourself. And people are getting cancer just from carrying this stuff in their pocket, whatever. And so we don't realize how strong the electromagnetic fields are that are generated by these things, right? So computers, cell towers. A friend of mine, he actually went to Bible school with me, Viktor Petrenko, Ukrainian. He used to have a church in Kiev, Ukraine, called the Holy Spirit Church, but after the war, the whole area was destroyed, so he left. He left, ended up moving the family to Norway, and I used to go preach there. When I would go to Kiev, Ukraine, I would preach for them, do conferences, and I would also go to Victory Church, which was Eugene's church. And his son, tragically, Victor Jr., just a few months ago, died tragically. He was working on the 5G towers, and he got so highly exposed to radiation that it killed him. That's how bad that stuff is. That's how bad that stuff is. So it's terrible. So we have to also get educated in protecting ourselves from all these electromagnetic fields. And then emotional, of course. Number 7 is emotional toxins, right? Stress, negative thoughts, loss of loved ones, worry, anxiety. These are all, we know that stress and worry and anxiety can literally, cause disease. I'm reading a book right now. It says the body keeps the score. How negative emotions will actually start to reflect in your body as symptoms. And you think you have a problem in your symptom, but it really is rooted more in the emotional side, the soulish, the mind, right? So, I'm gonna speak probably about another 5 minutes, then I'm gonna start having them go, but, and then we'll just go in and out, but, like deodorant. You gotta make sure you use natural deodorant, and I've probably gone through like 10 different ones to finally find one that works for me. natural stuff, plant-based, no aluminum, because your skin is actually the largest organ of your body, and it'll actually absorb whatever you put on it. And if you think about men, probably not as much, but how much stuff women put on their skin, right? And that's probably the number one area where they're getting toxins into their body through the pores, right? So it's very, very important to understand that because you are what you absorb. So let me read this little thing from the pamphlet from Dr. Bernstein, because I think it's really very interesting, because he's very unique. He works with a very unique methodology, but he says all disease is the result of a communication breakdown. Communication is dependent upon speaking and hearing. Successful communication occurs when something transmits a signal to a recipient who understands what the signal means. Do you realize that your entire body is electrical? Right? You are a computer. You are a supercomputer designed by God. You're electrical, and there are signals traveling through your body. We even have devices that we use at home now that through frequencies can do a lot of different things in your body and so forth. And there's a lot of technology out there. I have something I put on, and inflammation, pain, sleep. It's got like 59 different, frequency protocols you can run on it, and just a lot of different stuff out there. But the signals, so he said, this is what it says: the main way our cells communicate is by emitting vibratory frequencies. Albert Einstein said everything is vibration. All matter is composed of molecules, and molecules are made of atoms, and atoms are made of protons, electrons, and neutrons. All of these components are in constant motion, and they are vibrating. Each organ has its own unique vibration rate or frequency. If an organ is healthy, all of its cells are vibrating at their proper frequency. As a result, all of the messages sent from the cell to its interior components, such as the nucleus and the genes, will be understood by the body, and proper biochemical reactions will occur. Likewise, all the messages sent to exterior destinations, such as other cells, other organs, will be understood, and proper biochemical reactions will occur, and the body will function optimally. On the other hand, if there are toxins accumulating in the body, viruses, bacteria, candida, mercury, parasites, pesticides, all that stuff, it will interfere with the vibratory rate of the affected cells, and improper messages will be sent, and the recipient cells will not understand the message, and malfunction will set in. In a sense, the cells are singing out of tune. If we examine the disease process on a deeper level, we see that all toxins are traumatic to the body because they're high in free radicals. Free radicals are unstable molecules or atoms that tear electrons away from neighboring tissue cells. This ripping away of electrons traumatizes the affected organs. Some degree of free radical activity is considered normal. Everybody has them. Did you know that everybody actually has some cancer cells in their body? But that doesn't mean you have cancer, right? It's just some cells that have gone rogue in a sense. It's part of the aging process, right? But when there's a buildup of toxins in the body, free radical activity is excessive. This is called oxidative stress. Therefore, in the final analysis, all disease is the result of some form of trauma. So what happens is, when one part of the body, this is the problem with the modern day, medical system. You go to the hospital, the cardiologist comes and wants to just only focus on the heart, gives you something, and then the neurologist comes and says, wait a minute, what he gave you for the heart is messing up this. And they don't even talk to each other, right? That's why it's not what we call a holistic approach. It's a segmented approach. Everybody's in that little, niche, or they got their little blinders on. They're stuck in their mindset of how they've been indoctrinated in the medical schools, which is very bad now, very, very bad. There's no critical thinking. They just write, prescriptions and get kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies and the Food and Drug Administration. I hope that Elon Musk and RFK Jr. rip right through it, because that thing needs to be ripped to shreds. It's so wicked, evil, and corrupted, it's not even funny. Because they poison you with the food on one side, and then they want you to take your pharmaceuticals on the other side, and they're not in the healing business. They're just in the drugging people business. So anyways, but now we're gonna start to hear from them. I think Daniela prepared something for you guys, but I don't know, there's so much we can get into, right? But just in closing, download the Yuka app, Y-U-K-A, and go scan the barcodes of the items. By the way, I'm just gonna tell you, when I go to Publix, there's probably only about 5 or 6 things I can buy in the entire store. Seriously, that's how bad it is. So Whole Foods is a little better, but you gotta be careful with Whole Foods too, because it's coming out that a lot of the organic stuff is coming from China. So you gotta really know what you're getting. But but I would just say avoid sushi, avoid pork. Pork is very bad also for parasites. But I mean, you can get it from anywhere, just from even touching that thing or whatever. But, and I'm not trying to put fear into people or anything like that, but so I don't know, how do we start? Let's start with Lexi. Just tell us real quick, because maybe they have your picture? Yes. Okay, go ahead, Lexi. Share a little bit of your testimony.
Well, so yeah, I know people see me now and they're like, oh, whatever. But I've been on a health journey for a long time, and even when I was growing up, I was pretty healthy. But when Pastor started talking about trauma, I think most of my weight came from emotional trauma and just some things that I went through. And because of that, my mind was in a bad place, especially before I gave my life to Jesus. And God really helped me overcome my biggest. One of the things that and just to encourage everybody, like I really, I don't know as much as Pastor, whatever, but I did make a commitment to start learning. I made a commitment to start being a hearer of the word and not just, being a doer of the word and not just a hearer. So I took the advice that he was, sharing and, what I was hearing, and I just began to put it into practice and do the best that I could, right? But prior to coming to this church, I had really just let myself completely go. And I decided in March 2020, after I had been through a lot, and I really was using food as my master, he was my comfort. It was, I had no exercise lifestyle. I didn't really look at it that way as, exercising and being able to, work out. And I never looked at it as a blessing. I always looked at it as an opportunity, just, that it was like a punishment. But it's actually a blessing to be able to be active, and to be healthy. And so back in March I came to this church in 2020, but so I began to really take my health to the next level in March of 2020. And I came here in September. So this is prior to coming, but God had really been dealing with me about taking care of my temple. I had given my life to Jesus in 2018. And then honestly, I was overweight then, but I began to really pack on weight and live an uncomfortable, just an over-the-top lifestyle when I was going to church, because I was...
All the donuts?
We were eating. It's like, you went from maybe prior to being saved, you were addicted to other things, to now there was like this new addiction with food. There was food everywhere. Every time you'd gather, you're eating cookies and eating cake and eating this and eating that. And so... but I really was praying, and I remember the Lord telling me, okay, it's time to get healthy. It's time to take care of your temple. You're ready, And so I got on a good program. It taught me a lot about health, and I followed a very strict program, and I dedicated myself to being committed.
That's the major issue. A lot
Correct.
of people start, but they're not disciplined
That's
enough
right.
to carry through, and it doesn't work for them. And then they blame the program.
That's right. You have to set a goal for yourself, and I was determined. And I remember I was working with a health coach, and one of the biggest eye-opening things for me was she asked me, what is my dream health goal? What do you see yourself doing that in your dream? in the future that you can't do right now. And, I'm going to be honest with you. When I got on the scale, I was over 200 pounds. And at 5'3", that's very unhealthy. I was struggling with high blood pressure at the young age of 30. I mean, that's dangerous. And
you're probably pre-diabetic at that point, most likely.
I'm sure. Not only that, but my skin, and I had rashes on my skin. It was just inflammation. I mean, my face, my everything. It was all over. But it was a direct result of my lifestyle. So I made a commitment to myself and to the Lord that I am going to be disciplined and I'm going to get healthy. And it was a journey, and I learned a lot, even simple stuff that they don't teach you in America, like what is a fat and what is a protein and what is carbs and what is a lean meat and, what is a healthy fat and things like that. And I think Daniela is going to talk a little bit about that. But those simple, basic things, I had no idea. I'd never learned that. So as I began my journey, it was difficult, yes, but at the same time, one of the things that really kept me focused was the fact that I was in such a place where I wanted change was the difficult. So it was worse for me to stay the way I was than to make a commitment and do the hard thing to change.
Right, when the pain of not changing is so great, you'll embrace the pain of change.
And not only that, I was just not happy with the way that I looked. And it wasn't about a vanity thing. It was just more or less I was embarrassed. I hadn't worn shorts, to the beach in years. And I believe that I wasn't walking in complete freedom, and it was a desire for me to be able to run and to enjoy running and to be able to go to the beach and wear a modest looking bathing suit, but not have to cover myself completely and just to be free. And so mine was a lot, was emotional and things like that, but it was very spiritual. This weight that I was carrying was very spiritual, and I was holding on. And a lot of and as I began to walk, with the Lord and even coming to this church and stuff, some of that stuff that I was carrying even was unforgiveness and things like that. And one of the,
toxins.
And one of the scriptures that I remember the Lord, and I took it seriously. I mean, I don't know if it really in context, Bible school student, I don't know if it really made sense this way, but one scripture that I really stood on was, therefore then, since it's Hebrews 12:1, therefore since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses who have borne testimony to the truth, let us strip off and throw aside every encumbrance, unnecessary weight, and that sin which so readily, deftly, and cleverly clings to and entangles us. And let us run with patient endurance and steady and active persistence the appointed course of the race that is set before us. And especially coming here at this church, right, you get here, and I had lost about 60 pounds, so I was still about 30 pounds heavier than I am now when I got here, but I still wasn't in a place where I was considered healthy, and I was still working on my health, but I was receiving, words from preaching, you have a call on your life, the call of God is on your life. What do we hear here, right? You are made for a purpose, and you are, you're here for such a time as this, and God has an amazing plan for your life. And I wanted to preach and teach the word and go, but I was still not feeling completely 100% comfortable in my own skin, and so that call that I knew I needed to be confident. I knew I needed to love myself and be confident in the way that I looked and felt healthy and just been able to stand up and just, talk to people and just, not be embarrassed or, and so there was multiple things, but it was definitely, it was definitely a journey, and it's still a journey, and I'm still learning a lot. But I just want to encourage you in the sense that, when God is with you, you can do anything, first of all, that you put your mind to. And don't remain stuck in a place where you believe that you have to live in the body that you're in right now, struggling forever. That he has a greater plan for your life and for your body, and you can learn to steward it well. And as you make a commitment, he will help you. And we are overcomers, and so don't just be satisfied with being unsatisfied. Like, what are the dreams and the goals in your heart? And what do you want to do? Do you want to go run and swim and do those things? You can, in Jesus' mighty name. And so don't let the devil tell you otherwise, and so use your faith, but also grab a hold of the things that you learned tonight and begin to put them into practice and and most importantly, like Pastor said, be committed, stay committed. Don't give up. Don't just throw in the towel, if you have, a day where you fall short, right? That's what think about with the Lord, right? You fall short one day, but you repent and you just keep on going, right? You don't give up. So I just pray that it encourages you that nothing's too hard, for God, and nothing's impossible with God. And so just get with the Lord. And what are the dreams and goals that you have in your heart? And what do you want to do? Do you want to go run a marathon one day? You know what I mean? Just dream with God, especially when it comes to...
You run a lot now,
yes,
right?
I do. And that was and if I look back on one of, my coach made me, write down, what do you want to do? What are the dreams that you have on the inside of your heart that you can't do right now? And I remember one of them was just wearing a bathing suit at the beach and not being able to, or wearing shorts to the grocery store and not being embarrassed of the way that I felt. And also being able to go for a run and enjoy running. And now I do, and I run every day, and it's an enjoyment. It's actually one of the ways that I spend time with the Lord, and that's one of the ways that I hear from God every single day. So, God can really flip it around because, he's awesome that way. So I just want to encourage anybody, listen, keep dreaming, and, don't be satisfied with being where you are. God has something more for you and better, and you are meant to feel good and walk in freedom in Jesus' name.
And the mental part is huge, right?
Yes, it's huge. It is huge. And
you were on a bunch of antidepressants.
Oh, yeah.
You were depressed clinically. I mean, you were a mess. She was telling me that she didn't get off the couch for 3 or 4 days one time. Her mom had to literally drag her and bathe her. That's how depressed she had gotten before she got saved. So, I mean, right? And you wanted to die and everything.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I went through some really dark times before I had gotten a relationship with God, and with Jesus. But he can pull you out of anything. Anything.
Praise God.
I mean, he's alive. So, he is ready to move on your behalf. You just have to co-labor with him, and he puts people around you in your life to help you. So what a blessing it is.
So the decision is very important, the commitment. The mental part is going to be huge, obviously, to overcome. A lot of times, the issues with the body is really just a manifestation of the inside, the mental side. So you're going to have to work on the soul, right? Dearly beloved, I pray that you may prosper and be in health, right? Prosper in all things, be in health, even as your soul prospers. That's another scripture, that soul, your mind, will, and emotions. That soul is going to be a huge part of getting your body healthy, right? The health and wellness. And today, a big buzzword here in America is, mental health. And how many people are mentally sick? Well, a lot of it is, also demonic, but it's also very mental. People are broken down. And we are about 300 now, maybe 50 million people in America. But America uses 70% of all the antidepressants and psychosomatic and psychological, whatever you call that, pharmaceuticals in the world. It's crazy. So the whole system is broken. The whole system is geared to put people on medication and in bondage, and not to help them get free. And that's why it is vital as a church. You can't just preach and teach the word and just only focus on the spiritual stuff if you're not helping people mentally, emotionally, and also physically, bodily. So thank you for that testimony, Lexi. I'm going to let her share her testimony, and we're going to go to you. So your testimony is similar, different, but there's a lot there. Tell us what happened with you, Gloria.
Yes. So it really started when I was a teenager. Probably at 16, I started getting like acne and just ignored it. And then at 18, it became very cystic, and then kind of went everywhere. And
there you go.
And then I went to dermatologists, and they basically told me, oh, we'll give you ointments, topicals, you can get rid of it that way. And I would always ask them, like, well, why do I have it and not my siblings? What's different with me? They never really gave me an answer. They told me then to get on Accutane, and I'm not sure if anyone's heard of Accutane, but it's actually a chemotherapy drug. And people have, with studies and tests, they saw that for some reason, it cleared people's acne because it destroyed like your oil glands. And of course, oil contributes to acne. So I did research, and I was like, I don't want to do that. So then I dug really deep, and then I found out that food has a lot to do with your skin. So then at 18, I completely went gluten-free, dairy-free. I didn't even eat beef. I only ate like chicken and fish for years. And then peer pressure came around at like 26. I decided, oh, my skin looks good. I'll start eating trash.
So your skin cleared up when you changed your diet?
Skin completely
You didn't need chemotherapy?
I didn't need chemotherapy, no topicals.
Poisonous drugs?
Nothing.
Unbelievable.
It went away on its own. I had really clear skin for a long time. And then 26, started eating bad, drinking really heavily, partying, doing the whole thing. And that took me down a really, really bad path where cystic acne came back with a vengeance. I had chronic pelvic pain that wouldn't go away, chronic UTIs, a bunch of other issues, and this was when I was 27. And so I started freaking out. I'm like, what's different? What happened? And I went to a urologist. I went to like my gynecologist. I went to a GI doctor. I went to a dermatologist. Everyone told me basically that, oh, you're getting older, so you should be used to feeling pain at 27. And their only answer was for me to be on pain meds to alleviate the pelvic pain, alleviate all the other chronic issues.
And destroy your liver in the process, of course.
And destroy my liver, yeah. And so that really upset me, telling me at 27 that, oh, I should start already feeling pain. It's just about getting older. So then I stopped seeing all those doctors. Again, I went down the rabbit hole of trying to figure out what was going on. I found the program that I'm certified in as FDN, so it's Functional Diagnostic Nutrition. And basically the way they approach everything is that your whole entire body's connected. And what symptoms you're seeing on surface level, it's really like an iceberg, where you're seeing on top, but you're not understanding that there's a lot of different things contributing. The root causes to those symptoms. And it's basically your body crying out that, help me, I need to be fixed, basically. So then this specific program also helps you by running functional labs on different areas of your body to really get to the root cause, really fix your diet, how you're sleeping, how you're moving, exercising, the stress in your life. And the stress in my life was at an all-time high. I also was doing night shifts at the time, so I was not sleeping the way I should. And again, at the time, I was partying all night, working all day, and then same thing, not sleeping 2-3 hours a day. Awful, terrible. And then food and alcohol and all of that, like that, it just, yeah. So all of that contributed to, again, my body crying out. And again, the main issue is that a lot of people say, oh, well, I'm not you. That won't happen to me. Well, it won't, you're right. Something else will happen to you. Your body will cry out in a different way. And so, yes, you may not get the cystic acne, and yes, you may not get the pelvic pain or the chronic infections, but your body may cry out differently, and it may take take your body longer to get to the point where I was. Because again, everybody is different. Everyone is created different. Our situations are different. Like Pastor Corey was saying, our traumas are different. And again, that plays a huge role with our emotional trauma or physical trauma or mental trauma, anything that's ever happened to you in your life. And it doesn't have to be you getting in a car crash. It could be how you were raised, how your family life was. Do you come from a broken family? Were you abused as a child? Like, all of that plays a huge role in how your body is reacting. Because again, on top of our body being able to heal itself, we need to remember that our nervous system, which is a huge contributor in how our body heals, if it's dysregulated, and this comes from trauma in our life. So there's actually a test that I can show Pastor Corey, but it's called the ACE score. I'm not sure if anyone's heard of it, but it's something it's a free test online that you can actually take, and it shows you how high your score is. So the lower score is ideal. The higher you go, the more trauma you've had in your entire life. And so that is a huge indicator.
What is it again?
It's called ACE score, ACE score.
ACE score. So if you search online,
yep, and
ACE
it's a free
score.
test. You can take it easily. But that's gonna actually show you on how well your body's gonna be able to react with healing. Like, how are you gonna be able to detox? Because like you seeing with Pastor Rose, like, some people detox fine, some people detox.
Yeah, and that was the other thing. The process became traumatic for her.
Yeah.
So now she's having to also, it's not the parasites and the other things. Now it's the nerves, it's the emotional side that we're working on, to be honest with you. I think the physical side is 90% over, 95% over. It's the other side that we're working on because, you know, the emergency rooms, useless doctors, misdiagnosis, over-detoxing, and many other things. And, you know, and then another one wanted to put her on, you know, antibiotics, and another one this, and another one that, you know. So that's the challenge. And then the longer it kept going and going and going and going, she was like, oh my God, it's been 6 months. Oh my God, it's been 7 months. Oh my God, it's been 8 months. It started to wear her down. And that's where now the challenge happens, you know. So sometimes the process itself, I mean, I'm just reminded of, you know, the woman with the issue of blood. The Bible says she suffered many things of many physicians, spent all of her money, but was no better, but was worse. Oh my Lord, it's like that. And just the whole process of the medical system can be very traumatic to people. Like, you know, there's people that are literally afraid to even see a doctor because it triggers a very bad experience they had. So there's a lot that's involved, right? So, and many people have been misdiagnosed. There are doctors in America who've been put in jail because they prescribed chemotherapy to make millions of dollars to people that didn't need chemotherapy. How about all the pediatricians that want to vaccinate the kids because they make hundreds of thousands of dollars on vaccinating children. They're getting like what, 87 or 97 vaccines by the age of 5 or some ridiculous thing. It's insane. And autism used to be 1 out of 10,000, now it's 1 out of 30. Why? It's because of it's all vaccine injuries. The vaccines are so bad. I don't even have words to describe how bad the vaccines are, how evil and how toxic they are. So the stuff that's in the vaccines, it's very, very evil. The system is very corrupt, it's all based on greed, mammon, and it's destroying people's lives. These pharmaceuticals are destroying people's lives. They start on one medication, then they have to take another one for the side effects, another one, another 5. Before you know it, they're on 9 different medications and their brain is fried. I'm sorry, but it's just so bad that they want to treat acne with something that's on par with chemotherapy than going to the root cause. It's just nothing more than the toxins that are just in your body, just exploding through your skin, really. There's a root. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I had been misdiagnosed 3 times by 3 different doctors. And all the diagnoses they gave me, there was no solution other than you just have to live with it. And so I went through that for 2.5 years, chronically in pain. And so, like Pastor Corey was saying, it does something mentally to you.
Yeah.
You're in this state of constant trauma. You now associate
Fight and
yourself
flight.
fight or flight. You associate yourself with that pain, with that condition, and that's who you are. And I wasn't here at the river, but at that point I was suicidal. Like, I wanted to end it. It was that bad for me. And so again, anyone who's dealt with something chronically, it can overtake you. And the only reason why I'm here is because of the grace of God. Because he opened the door, he showed me a way that I could be able to, with his help, heal myself, and then I come here, and then like I'm completely healed in the name of Jesus. But again, it took me being in a state of I don't want to be on this earth anymore. I don't want to take it. I'll do anything. And that's how my life got completely transformed, how I took the steps for me to get better, to start healing myself. And I know a lot of people have to get to that state, but you have to think of it in a way that you don't want to treat your body with such little care. Because again, it is our temple, and we have things that God has called us to do. And if we can't get out of bed, if we can't even be in a mental state to do what he's called us to do, and you have to think what's going to happen 5 years, 2 years, 3 years down the line. If you have a family, you got to take care of your family. You want a family. How are you going to do that if you can't take care of them? And these are things that you have to think about, because we like to live in the now when it comes to like having fun and indulging in certain things. But how much is your health worth? Is it worth you, again, not being able to get out of bed, not being able to do things for yourself? You have to be able to, like everyone is saying, you have to make that choice. It's not an easy choice. Again, it's not easy for us to come and give our lives to God and let everyone make fun of us and everyone say that we're crazy or we're doing things that other people aren't doing. Why? Because we know what we're called. We know that what God has for us. And it's the same thing with our health. So we just have to like keep that in mind. And it's something that comes with time. And we do have to give ourselves grace, because a lot of people they make one mistake and they're like, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. People will come and tempt you. People will, hey, you want to have this? You want to do that? And then, I'll start tomorrow on my new lifestyle. I'll start the next day. I'll start next week. And that next week never comes, because there's always going to be people tempting you. There's always going to be temptation in front of you. We just have to learn how to overcome that and give ourselves grace on that aspect of it.
Yeah.
There's one thing I do want to talk about real quick, because I know. So we also have to remember.
We'll come back to you too.
Okay, then I'll do it.
Let's
after.
do this.
Yeah.
Let's. She's gonna share testimony. Then we're gonna get into. She has notes. They have. You have a handout for everybody. Did they get it or? We're gonna pass them out. We'll do it later. We don't want to distract you now, but she brought some practical things in a handout for you. But let's hear from Daniela.
Okay. So something that we all have in common is that we have gone through something that made us make a huge change in our lives and has brought us closer to the reason why we decided to actually learn and actually dive deep and apply the knowledge that we actually acquired. Because a lot of times we can teach and people have a lot of excuses and they say, but this, I don't have time, I can't do this or that. But in 2018, I actually was going through a challenge of my own where I couldn't figure out what was wrong with my body. I was having, like Lexi, I was having rashes. I thought I was allergic to shrimp. I thought I was allergic to chicken. I thought I was allergic to everything because anything I ate just gave me hives. And I was in this deep quest of finding what it was. And at that moment, I didn't know that I needed to make a huge change in my life, because I consider myself that I was eating healthy. I ate lots of protein, good proteins, good fats, everything like that. And, I was exercising. I was going to a gym 2 hours a day, sometimes twice a day. I was like wrecking my body, just like pushing it over the limit, and I still wouldn't get any improvement. And in 2018, I actually visited several doctors, and one of them was an immunologist. So when you go to an immunologist, they're gonna test you for all kinds of allergies. and he made my whole bag. He put every single allergen that he could think of. And, after I came back for the results, I said, so what am I allergic to? And he's like, well, you're not really allergic to anything. And I said, what do you mean? I get rashes all the time. And he's like, well, you're just sensitive. So I said, so what do I do? The recommendation was to just get into antihistamine, just take every day, take Zyrtec in the morning for the rest of my life. And I said, that's crazy. Why would I do that? If I'm not allergic to anything, why would I take an antihistamine? So at that moment, I actually came across the ketogenic lifestyle. And, it kind of like intrigued me. And I was not aware of it because I knew I had done lots of exercise. I knew nutrition. I knew all of that. I'm like, well, I eat a moderate amount of carbs. I eat my proteins. I count my calories. I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't need to go into this crazy low-carb diet. But, after researching and looking at videos and listening to testimonies of people healing their bodies through this lifestyle, not only like their physical body, but like their brain, people with like brain injuries and like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and diminishing the state of disease just by cutting the carbs. Because the carbohydrates, when they're in abundance, what they can block the receptors in our brain that actually receive the energy. So when your body is actually in a state of ketosis, it's actually able to take that smaller molecule of energy and feed the brain. And at that point, I decided that I was gonna go into that lifestyle. And in about 3 months, all my allergies went away. I never had a rash again. And, obviously my lifestyle completely changed because I completely cut the carbs for a long time. And, it's kind of like what Gloria was saying. After a while, you get comfortable and you think, oh, I cured myself. I'm good. Now I can eat carbs whenever. And that's not true. Because the truth is that all these carbohydrates that we see in the world, like cookies and muffins, that's not the carbohydrates that you need to fuel your body with. So, now I'm gonna teach you something about macronutrients, and I'm gonna talk to you about like how do we get our nutrition? We get our nutrition through 3 different types of macronutrients. One of them is carbohydrates, the other one is proteins, and the other one is fats. All these macronutrients have a specific amount of calories per gram. So that's how you get how many calories you get in a serving, right? So where can you get your carbohydrates? Carbohydrates can come from fruits, vegetables, or grains. And then try to avoid that to get all your carbohydrates from sugar, because otherwise you're gonna be full of inflammation. Mm-hmm. Then we're gonna have proteins. Proteins are, we're gonna suggest you to eat grass-fed meats.
Grass-fed, grass-finished.
Grass-fed, grass-finished meats.
Just found out that grass-fed is not good enough because they'll feed them grains the last week to fatten them up before they send them to the slaughterhouse.
And it's very difficult to actually find like something like meat that is actually grass-fed, grass-finished all the way, because...
Well, Florida farmers, I order online. Florida, you can actually get, you have to order online. Butcher Box, there's a... Yeah, so you're gonna have to get them online. Whole Foods only has grass-fed. They don't have grass-finished.
Yeah, because also in between, sometimes they feed them grains. Anyway, they can also grass-fed them, grass-finish them, but in between, they feed them grains to fatten them up. So anyway, then we have like, pasture-raised eggs and, fish and other good, healthy proteins. But you gotta make sure that it's all wild-caught, no mercury. Is such a hard.
It's very hard, and one of the things, you know me, I go spearfishing out here in the ocean, but the warm water fish are more toxic and have more parasites and more toxins than cold water fish. So you want to try to eat cold water fish as much as possible that is wild caught, right? You got to be careful. Salmon is probably one of the worst. Everybody loves salmon, but they put dye in them. They put all kinds of, it's got to be wild-caught Alaskan or something like that, salmon. You got to make sure, otherwise you're not going to get clean meat. sockeye salmon. You're not going to get any, you got to eat clean food. And it's, you can find them. You just have to get good at knowing what to look for. And that's a part of what we're trying to do here with you guys. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and then we have fats. So in fats, you have to be very careful because whenever you're buying anything that you think is healthy, you gotta read that label very carefully because even if you buy a mayonnaise that says avocado oil mayonnaise, the first ingredient in the back is gonna be soybean oil. So those seed oils you gotta avoid. You gotta avoid all those seed oils and you gotta focus on healthy fats like avocados, avocado oil, olive oil, ghee, and real butter. So if you have, I can't believe it's not butter in your house, that is not butter. That is hydrogenated oil. It's
a petroleum product.
Yes.
Yes, it was a byproduct back in, margarine was a byproduct back in the 50s when they were trying to produce biofuel. So they figured they were making biofuel and they got this byproduct. Hey, let's package this up as margarine and sell it as a food item. These evil people. It's all about money.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely, avoid the different ingredients that you're going to be looking for. I actually have a handout, and we're going to pass it around for everybody if you want it. One of the things to avoid always is the artificial sweeteners like aspartame, saccharin, sucralose. All of these disrupt your gut microbiome, and it actually disrupts the gut lining, and it hinders your absorption for the nutrients that you're consuming. Besides that, you gotta be careful with the colors, right? Red 40, you have been hearing a lot about that because it's everywhere, I believe. And yellow 5 and 6.
And these are banned in Europe. So like Kellogg's cereals and others, these American products, they have to sell a different version of their product in Europe or in Turkey than what they sell here. Even in Canada, they have to sell a different version. The Canadian version has like 7 ingredients. American version has like 14 and a bunch of chemicals in it. It's been it's been just so proliferated here in America, but hopefully that's going to change. That's why I was a big believer in RFK Jr. when Trump put him on wanted to put him on his team.
Yeah.
And I hope they, I really pray that they will do a good work. Obviously, the swamp is very deep and thick, but
Yeah, so these dyes can actually, be inducing more like hyperactivity disorder, cancer, and hormone disruption, so many other things. And besides that, like Pastor Corey was saying earlier, our hydration, how we are walking completely dehydrated. We are not even, first of all, the water that we're drinking is dead water that doesn't have any minerals, that is in a plastic bottle.
We should do the little test.
We should do it next week.
Next week, we're going to do a water demo for you. I was going to do it, but this first week is more foundational. But next week, we're going to teach you about water. You'll be shocked. There's a whole science to water. Seriously. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Who's excited to see that next week? We're going to show you dead water and living water. The difference between, we're going to show you, we have a demo. We're going to do a little demo for you. Okay.
Okay, yes, and we will do that next week, and then we will teach you more. But, I really wanted to tell you a little bit more about the foundation, like carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Whenever you eat 1 gram of carbohydrate, you're getting 4 calories. Whenever you're eating 1 gram of protein, you're getting 4 calories. And whenever you get a gram of fat, it's 9 calories. So that's how you get the total amount of calories in 1 serving. So whenever you really want to track your food, you're going to have to weigh your protein, and you can actually calculate exactly how many calories.
I have an app. I do that. I use that.
You can do it in an app, but it's actually
weigh it.
But it is actually really beneficial to do it practically because you actually get to appreciate the portion size and everything. And later on, you can just rely on an app, like Pastor Corey is saying. And now I think that we can maybe take some questions or.
Yeah. Well, I was just going to say, don't eat crap. Don't eat crap. Stop eating crap. C, what does C stand for? Carbonated drinks. You have to eliminate any kind of soda pop, Coke, Pepsi, Fanta, whatever, you cannot. It's poison. Not only the high fructose corn syrup from GMO corn in it, poison for your liver, and it's poison for your body, is going to cause inflammation, all kinds of toxic results. Also, obviously, the acid, the dyes, and everything. There's nothing in it of any kind of nutritional value. It's poison. You know, so if you have Coca-Cola at home or something, use it to clean the floor, or get the rust off of the chrome from your car's bumper or whatever. That's really what it's good for. Or maybe, you know, you can use it to clean your toilet bowl and stuff like that, you know, but do not drink it. I mean, please. I mean, I beg people to stop drinking that stuff. You cannot. And be careful also with these so-called, you know, fruit juices. Most of them are sugar stuff. They're not real anyway. So if you're gonna do anything, then get a nice cold pressed juicer and go buy organic fruits and make your own. And as soon as you juice, you gotta drink it within the hour, you know. But that's what we do. We have a cold pressed juicer, and you know, Gloria loves doing it now. She makes it, and Dad, you want some? Yeah, of course, you know. And she's doing the work. Yeah, praise God. It's hard to put that thing together and clean it up later, where sometimes you get a little lazy about it, but you know, you can't. You gotta pay, you know, otherwise what are you gonna be drinking? So the carbonated drinks have to go out. Who's gonna repent tonight publicly from drinking carbonated drinks? Okay. You drink it all day long? Oh Lord God, no, please. You love the fizz in it. Huh? It's bad because it's so acidic. Okay, so let's get into the whole acidic alkaline thing, but we'll get into that. Okay, the problem is why many people are sick in America and obese is because the diet is extremely acidic. The drinks they're drinking, Perrier, you said, it's 3 pH. 7 pH is neutral. Anything under 7 is acidic. Cancer cannot thrive in an alkaline body. So you need to be drinking not only alkaline water, but you need to be eating alkaline food, and you need to have your body be alkaline, okay? Because if your body is acidic, you are prone to get sick. You're prone for inflammation, you're prone for all kinds of stuff, and cancer, right? And overgrowth of all kinds of things in your body, including parasites and bacteria. All these toxins, they love an acidic environment, right? Acidic. It's like, you know, offense is acidic. Resentment is acidic. Bitterness is acidic, right? The bitter the taste. So that's why Perrier, no, because it's acidic, okay? And it's also gonna probably just increase your stomach acid, gonna cause more acid reflux, all these other things. Heartburn, and then people get heartburn because they eat all this acidic food, and then they take Tums and other stuff, which is also another toxin that goes in your body. So it's like double toxin. So these are the things you need to learn, right? So carbonated drinks are bad. Very bad, okay? San Pellegrino, same thing. San Pellegrino. Sparkling water, I don't know what you mean. You can make your own fizzy water.
Well, the reason why it's acidic, the reason why it's carbonated is because it has CO2. The moment that you add CO2, it becomes acidic. So no matter what, even if it's San Pellegrino or listen, I love sparkling water, but the truth is that it's pH 3. We have tested it.
Yeah, and so when you add hydrogen, it becomes alkaline because pH stands for potential of hydrogen or power of hydrogen. So the higher the hydrogen content, the more the pH. Now you got to be also careful with these fake alkaline waters out there like Essentia and stuff like that. They put, what do they put in it?
Potassium carbonate?
Potassium carbonate and sodium bicarbonate. They put basically baking soda and all this stuff in the water to make it alkaline, but it's fake. It doesn't have hydrogen. So we also have a machine that, the living water adds hydrogen, removes oxygen, so it becomes antioxidant, and adds hydrogen, so you can actually see the fizzles, the real hydrogen fizzy in there, and it's like cloudy water. It's like natural, and when you drink it, you see the difference, and the absorption increases, probably quadruples in your body because your cell membranes are negatively charged, so you need positively charged, you need negatively charged water. So this is a whole science behind water. We're gonna get into that next week though. So stop eating crap. C stands for carbonated drinks. What do you think R stands for? Refined sugar. One of the biggest killers, refined sugar. Refined sugar. All that white sugar. Stuff is so sugary in America, huh?
Even brown sugar too.
Brown sugar, you gotta be careful.
What they do is that they just add molasses to the white sugar.
Exactly. And so I don't use any cane sugar. I've been doing coconut sugar, and I've been doing like sugar from dates, date sugar, like organic sugar from organic dates, or beet sugar. In Turkey, we don't have sugar cane, we have beets. So I'm used to beet sugar.
You can also do monk fruit.
Monk fruit is another
really
one.
good.
So,
Yeah.
because the reason with the sugar cane is her father sprays them all with all kinds of stuff. Out there in Belgrade area, right? He crop dusts all those cane. You know, there's so much stuff that's sprayed on the sugar cane fields because it's all big production. But you got to go with, like coconut sugar or, naturally, stuff from natural beets, coconuts, to avoid all the insecticides and the pesticides, unfortunately. So that's one thing. So refined sugar is a big killer. And I mean killer. And when I say killer, I mean it is a killer. Yes. Stevia.
If your body can tolerate stevia, it's fine. I'm not a huge fan of stevia, but that's just my personal preference.
I don't like the taste.
I prefer allulose or monk fruit. They are natural occurring sugars that are not gonna be derived from like sugar alcohols. But once you start getting into like erythritol or xylitol, these are sugar alcohols. It can provoke actually stomach upset, like gurgly gut and stuff, because it doesn't agree with your gut flora. But allulose, monk fruit.
Yeah, sweet and low stuff.
Zero
That stuff is poison. Sweet and low, no, don't even use that stuff.
None of that.
Please. Honey, if you can find, you got to be careful with honey too. And even olive oil. There's a lot of fake olive oil and fake honey out there. They mix stuff in it. So you got to make sure that it is pure and natural. Check the label. If you know that if you can get pure and natural honey, you can put honey. If you want to put honey in your tea, that's fine. But you got to avoid refined sugar. And I would go for, if I were you, I would just avoid cane sugar altogether and go for like, sugar from dates, monk fruit. Like I haven't used monk fruit, but I'm familiar with it. They put it in some of the supplements, and I think I have it in one of the protein shakes that I do. It's okay. But I use date and coconut sugar and beet, because my mother-in-law, she likes the Turkish beet sugar. So I found the organic beet sugar for her. But anyway, so refined sugar you avoid. Stop eating crap. What do you think A stands for? Artificial foods, artificial stuff, artificial. There's so much that is artificial. You realize they're trying to even grow meat in laboratories and 3D print. Bill Gates wants everybody eating, laboratory meat and kill all the cows because they fart and then they cause climate change. These people are evil, evil, evil. It's all about their eugenics agenda, population control. They want to take over, they want to kill all the agriculture. Why are egg prices so high? Because the Biden administration had 150 million chickens slaughtered because of the bird flu, okay? That's why, so it's terrible. It's all about, limiting the food supply, all of these other things, right? So artificial foods, artificial colors, you talked about it. I'll let it talk. And then what's P stand for in the crab? Processed foods. And I would probably have to say crab poo. I don't know, because it's ultra processed. It's not even processed, it's ultra processed. You have to avoid all processed meats. Have you seen how they're even made? Oh God, the sludge, that's like a little sludge they pour into these things. So processed foods. Okay, so let's get into some stuff with food. You had something that let's go back to her and then we'll come back to you.
Yeah, so I just want to quickly go over.
Is this good? You all getting? All right, awesome. We're gonna keep going, and then we'll take questions.
So when you eat a meal, it's really important that you're able to identify how that meal makes you feel. So an hour, 2 hours, really evaluate, are you sleepy? Are you having brain fog? Are you having a hard time concentrating? These are not normal. You should not be feeling that after a meal. You should be feeling energized, ready to go. You're able to concentrate. You're fully focused. If you are not feeling those, then what you're eating is not satisfying your body's needs. So it's really important that you're able to identify that and able to really be in tune with your body, because that's how you're going to be able to make these changes. And that can also help in a way that you're able to evaluate, okay, maybe my body does a little bit better with more portion of fat or protein and less carbs, because not everyone's going to be the same. Everyone's portions are going to be different. I personally do very well with high protein, high fat diet.
Well, there's a book called Eating According to Your Blood Type. I would recommend getting that.
Yeah.
Do you know your blood type? How many of you know your blood type? Okay, I was surprised at how few Americans know their blood type. Everybody in Turkey knows it. Like I knew my blood type when I was in primary school. Like we had to know it. Like it was on my thing, whatever. It's crazy. But anyways, you need to know your blood type. If you don't know it, go figure out what your blood type is. And then read that book, Eating According to Your Blood Type. So I don't do well with, to be honest with you, with red meat that much. And so I've really cut the red meat down quite a bit. Anyway, so yeah. And then I would, I'm pretty much on what you would call like a paleo diet, which is, hunter-gatherer, whatever you find you eat, so the vegetables, fruits, and then of course meats. But I am wheat-free. I don't like once a month I may have something that has, a wheat product in it. But I went 6 months with 0 wheat. And like I eat buckwheat. It's not wheat. So I get the buckwheat bread with the seeds in it, organic. It's only got like 3 ingredients: sprouted buckwheat, the seeds, and then organic sea salt. It's called pacha bread. That's all I'm eating pretty much. And then I only get like the butter from Europe, not the American butter, because they put the stuff in the cows and the milk. So, and the cheese from Europe, and I get the Turkish stuff from the market. So I've really limited myself. It does get a little boring. You're eating the same thing all the time, but I don't really care. I want to be healthy, I don't want to go back to feeling drained because of the sugar and the carbs, I don't want to do that anymore. I can't. I'm not 25 anymore, Maybe you could get away with it when you were in your 20s, but not anymore. Please continue.
So if anyone would like to identify if what they're eating is correct, I can email you like a diet sheet that you can check off every meal, whether it's satisfying you, so that you're able to determine maybe I need to switch the portions of what I'm eating. And I'd also like to just encourage everyone, because this may seem overwhelming, especially if you're starting from ground zero. What really will help is just taking one thing that you've heard today and just for one straight week, change that one thing that you feel led to do. And so it doesn't seem overwhelming, and so that you don't try to pile it all on at once and then end up not being able to continue it. And so you're able to each week add something new every other week, every week, and then by the end of the month, you've done 4 new things that you haven't done before.
Yeah, make a plan, set some goals. Okay, I've got 10 things I got to work on, and I'm not going to do it over the next 10 days. I'm going to do it over the next 10 weeks. Now that becomes more manageable, more palatable, right? Yes. So that sheet, how many pages is that?
It's just one sheet. I mean, I can even email it to Lexi.
Yeah, can we print it and give it out to everybody tonight?
Yeah, if there's a way we can print it in the
back.
back.
We'll print it. We'll do it at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you have anything more to add? You got some notes?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Daniela.
Yes, so I definitely agree with the same thing. Just pick one thing. Like if I was you and you're drinking sodas, just cut that out. Or if you're drinking
it's
juices,
a good start.
If you're drinking a juice, soda, or sweet tea, just cut that out this week. And you'll notice.
Immediately, within a week,
Just drink water.
You'll have so much more energy and you'll lose weight.
I mean,
Talk about people, you know, what they can have in place of it, you know, and just drink water, yes, but also could they have like, what else are some good things?
the truth is, I say just drink water, because if I give you another option, it's just gonna be the same.
Unless you go spend a lot of money on cold press organic juice, and it's like, it could be expensive for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes.
The one thing you guys have got to remember is what you're doing is you're breaking an addiction, right? So if you just take one.
Come up here, because you got to run up. Maybe we need a fifth chair, but because we're recording, so we got to get your
Sorry about that.
audio on there. Come stand in the middle.
So the one thing you guys have to realize is when you start this journey is you're breaking an addiction, right? So if you substitute one thing with another, it's just like any other addiction. You know, if I stop cocaine and I go to pills, right? You know what I mean? All you're doing is substituting one thing to another, correct? I mean, it's the hard truth, but that's what it is. So when you say, if I'm going to stop drinking sodas or I'm going to stop drinking these sugary drinks, what else can I drink? Just drink water. And that's what you got to do. If you're willing to do this and you want to make a change in your life and in your lifestyle, you have to be a hard no on certain things. You just have to shut it down, right? And it's the truth. You know, I started this journey myself over 8 years ago. And the fact is when I got into this, I'm an all-in kind of personality. So I went all in and I did it. The reality is, though, you get comfortable like everybody else up here was saying, right? And right now, I'm not all in, you know, but I'm making a commitment right now to myself and Daniela and everybody else here that I'm all in from this point forward.
Yes.
And you're going to see a change in me, because the only way to do this is to lead from the front, right? So, and when it comes to this health and this wellness and everything else that we're talking about here, you know, we have to lead others in the way that we want to be led, right? And each and every time you guys wake up, you're a leader in some way, shape, or fashion. If you have children, you're leading your children, right? So you wouldn't want them to take something and substitute it for something else, right? So you guys just have to be real honest with yourself, and what are you going to do from this point forward, you know? And you really got to want it, right? That's number one. You really got to want to make a change. And Danielle and I have been talking about this for a while now, and we've wanted to make this change, right? But sometimes we need the community to help us make a change.
Pastor Corey kind of give you a little swift kick in the rear.
And the funny thing is, you know, I've been a health coach for, 8 years, but I stopped doing it because I got tired of dragging people along.
Yeah.
You know, people will say they want to do something, but to get them to take action and move forward is something totally different, right? You know, so I get a lot of people say, and then they'll say, oh, you know what? That doesn't work for me. Well, are you working the program? Or if I'm telling you to do something to make a change in your lifestyle, like if we talk about it tonight and say, stop drinking sodas, and then you come back 4 days from now and go, well, I feel the same old thing. Well, did you stop drinking sodas? No. Well, what did you expect, right? So it's tough to drag people along. I want to lead from the front and be able to take those people with me. And the only way to really do that is to show action in yourself. So, you know, like I said, it's been a journey. The health thing is something that we really need to take into real consideration, because God has given us these temples, right? And these temples, we should be taking care of these temples. And I think a lot of us lack in certain areas when it comes to that. But, yeah, I didn't want to get up here and rant, but I just want to say the health thing is a tough thing to battle, because it truly is an addiction. When you go to stop drinking sodas, man, you're going to fiend for it, right? You're going to be like, man, I need that soda, you know? When you stop drinking those sugary drinks, when you stop, you know, everybody's like, well, what should I substitute my sugar with? Really, just cut it out. Like, stop it, right? You know what I mean? Monk fruit, this, that, the other, you know? Sometimes you just got to cut it. And then you can, you know, slowly do certain things. But the fact of the matter is you have to be hardcore with yourself. You have to shut it down.
Amen.
I mean, it's the truth.
We are going to allow them to just add lemon to our water.
Lemon, I'll let you do, okay?
And some fruit, low glycemic fruits.
Organic lemon.
Organic
and wash
lemon.
your lemon.
bleeding
Soak
too.
your lemon
Is
for-
if you want to maybe add some lemon or something.
But you gotta soak your lemon for 50 minutes in 10 pH water.
Lemon or
Oh my God,
lime.
now. Wait a minute, hold on, sorry. Never mind, just wash it and slice it. Okay. Tell them real quick about her program that you did.
Oh, and I wanted to encourage people real fast though, because I feel like a lot of people are like, well, I can never, I don't have time or get out, for exercise. When Pastor Corey talked about getting sunlight, it's so important. It makes you feel so good. A lot of people are just stuck in an office all day or whatever. By the time they get home, but just even taking that extra 15 minutes in the morning to just get out and go for a walk, oh my gosh. It will do wonders to it will help you physically, but mentally too. And take that time to spend time with the Lord. I'm telling you, that could be one of the things that you change. It's not about how long you go or how fast you go. It's about that you just go and you go every day. Just 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day. Every day, I'm going to go. Even if it's a walk around the block with your dog, just go and just make a commitment every day. And I guarantee you, once you get in that flow of 21 days, or they say is a habit or whatever.
It takes 21 days
man,
to establish a new habit.
You are gonna be excited and ready to go on that walk or go, on that. You're gonna need to go. And then you miss one day and you're like, I gotta get back in it. I can't, So I just want to encourage you with that.
So Pastor Rose and I were doing colonics, which is colon hydrotherapy. So Lexi said, I want to go try it. So I gave her the address of the ladies. She went there and discovered something came out.
Yes. Unfortunately, I realized, I had parasites. And there was, some tapeworms. So I just felt, honestly, this is why it's really good to have a relationship with the Lord and be led by the Holy Ghost, because Pastor Rose was doing the colonics and, I just kept, how sometimes the Lord just highlights things to you, like you feel like you hear it really loud. And I was like, okay, and so I said, Lord, I'll go, I'm just going to be obedient. And the reason why he told me to go is because I would have never done the detox protocol. And I told Pastor Rose that. She said, see, you're just like Thomas. You have to see before you believe. I'm like, oh God. So she told me, how Pastor Rose is. But she's like, no. She's like, I told you needed to go. But the Lord, but once I saw, that there was some things, Tabby, I emailed it to you. So I found out that I had some parasites. And so I knew what to do. I went to Gloria because I knew that Gloria had, talked to me about a detox and a protocol. And I was actually going to go a different route, which was I wasn't going to do the full. Remember, Gloria, I wasn't going to do the full one. I just wanted something quick, something, She said, well, you can do this for like 10 days or whatever. But really, that wasn't the one for me. So I went, and when I saw that I had parasites, I went to Gloria, and Gloria said, okay, well, this is the program, this is the plan. And so I did a 6-month detox using all natural supplements, not just to target the parasites, but targeted, my liver, my kidneys, just different areas overall, like we were talking about. And one thing that I really learned, which was, besides getting rid of the parasites, hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. But another thing that I really learned was how much my liver was ingested. What would you call it? Ingested. Okay, and you want to know why? How I knew? I couldn't believe this. It's like in the beginning, when we were doing the liver kidney, I would tell her, like, I feel angry right now, and I don't know why. I just felt anger. And it wouldn't be at anybody, but it would just be angry. And I would tell her, I'm like, I feel like the world's crashing down. And she's like, Lexi, that's your liver. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she said, yes, it's called angry liver. She said, your body is getting rid of all these fake estrogen, all this fake stuff that it had just piled up in there from
That's
years.
Another thing the microplastics do. They create what's called these fake estrogens,
yes,
which is very bad. That's why ladies end up getting, breast
Yes.
cancer, and men end up getting, prostate and all these other
Right.
things, the fake estrogens, which is what the microplastics cause. So,
So some days I would feel that way, and I would tell her, she's like, just, it's just, and I ended up doing it. I ended up doing the liver kidney again because I felt the Lord tell me, do it one more time. And so I did. And then actually after like 2 more weeks into it, it stopped. Yeah. That feeling, where the whole world was crashing down type thing. It wasn't every day, but it was just random, and I was like, what is this? And she told me, I was like, wow, that's crazy.
The chemicals, the pharmaceuticals. See, your liver processes everything. So
Yes.
everything has to go through the liver. And if your liver capacity is low, and it's going to be a problem. And also, like in Chinese medicine, like the different parts of the body represent different things. Like, your gallbladder, they say you don't have any gall, like it represents courage or lack of courage. So if you, liver is anger, guts, all these kidneys, they have like different emotions they're connected to. Even the teeth are connected to different parts of the body. And one of probably the biggest thing that happened for me in the last year was when Dr. Moika was reading my biomarkers. She said, you got infected teeth. I said, no, everything's fine. She goes, do you have any root canals? I said, I think I have a few. They're infected. You need to get it checked out. So when I was in Turkey in August, I went to a holistic biological dentist, which is a non-conventional dentist. And 2 of my root canals were very badly infected. And infected root canals are very bad for you. They most likely end up leading into cancer. And so I had those extracted immediately, and you should have seen the stuff he pulled out, because the root canals, there's no nerve ending, so you don't feel anything. They were so badly infected. He pulled out a little cyst that was all this reddish, brownish, ugliest looking thing. And I had all this inflammation in my body, and it was, the teeth were affecting different parts of my body. All that stopped within a couple of weeks once the infection was broken. And they did a treatment with ozone. They took my own blood and they put it in a centrifuge, get your plasma, and they put it in there for healing and stitched it up. So it was all done holistically without antibiotics and all these other things. So I healed up pretty quickly. And then, of course, I had to get implants, but not titanium. You don't want to put metal in your mouth. So I ended up going back to get the ceramic implants, zirconium. And I had to do it in Turkey because it would have probably cost me $25,000 in America. I spent $5,000 in Turkey. And plus I got to go visit the church and everybody was happy. But it's, it's a big deal. And yeah. Just keep
Even
it on.
even if you have a root canal and you don't think it's infected, it is probably causing problems just silently.
Yeah.
Because what it is a dead
Dead
organ.
tooth. Yeah.
It's a dead
And
organ.
they put fillers in there, like different inorganic fillers. That's not good, right?
So what they do when they do a root canal, sometimes people think that they take the root out, and that's not what it is. They actually drill through the tooth, and inside the tooth there's actually live tissue. There's nerves, vessels, and everything that supply nutrients to the tooth. Once you get a root canal, you are actually having the nerve inside that tooth removed. So now there's no intervention, there's no blood vessel flowing, so that tooth is dead. So it's gonna harbor bacteria. They fill it up to fill up the space with something called gutta percha, which is like a rubbery kind of material. And they fill in the canals, and they hopefully seal it and disinfect it well enough, but it's at the microscopic level where it's not disinfected enough. Nowadays, they say they can disinfect it with ozone and it can go through the tubules, but you still don't want to have a dead organ in your body. So if you have root canals, plan for the future. If you're gonna do anything about it, it's gonna cost you some money, but you gotta plan for your health. And I think there's somebody has a question.
I mean, some of these holistic dentists, they will tell you that 100% of root canals eventually will become infected at some point or another. So I still have, I think, one more. I'm keeping an eye on it. I'll deal with it later, but, so because of all the micro channels and stuff too, I've studied the whole thing. I've spent hours looking into the whole thing about it. So we need to run. We need to run. Oh, yeah, here we go. Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
So there's a documentary that you can watch on YouTube. It's called The Root Cause, and it actually talks about what you're talking about. And I highly recommend everybody watch that documentary. It's very eye-opening.
I might have watched that one. Root Cause?
The Root Cause, yeah.
Who's it by?
I am not sure who's
Okay.
it by, but just watch the documentary,
Okay.
and your eyes will be open, and you will never want
Yeah.
to get a root canal.
I watched so many.
ever
I might have
again.
watched that one. I'll probably watch 10 different videos and teachings on that to really understand, because I wanted to know what I was getting myself into, and it was an eye-opener, big-time eye-opener. So you can actually have an infected tooth, and it'll affect another organ. And the inflammation in my knees are gone because it was actually because of my teeth. And I thought it was my knees, but it wasn't my knees, it was my teeth. So I don't know. Hold on. Before we take questions, she needs to finish up this, and then we'll take questions. Well, just tell them what it is, and then we'll take questions. Because we're going to hand something out to them, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to hand something out to you, and also the sheet that Gloria, okay, we got that printed out too. So we're going to hand out 2 things for you. So, so explain what you are, and then just quickly explain to them what you're handing out so they know what to do with it. Then we'll take questions. Okay, so let's go 5 more minutes, then we'll take questions.
Okay. So.
Okay, get him filled with joy at the end. Lay hands on him, Pastor Gordon. Out of my belly flow rivers. Okay.
Okay, so I put together a list of ingredients to avoid. So now that you're aware of some basic knowledge, you can actually look for these ingredients in things that you consume. Even if you just look in your pantry, you can go through it. No, it's gonna be 20 of them. You don't have it yet.
Wait, they don't have it yet? What happened to it? Where is it?
No, we can give it now. Yeah, yeah, we can.
No, not the one that Gloria had printed.
The ingredients.
Go ahead. Ingredient one. Let's pass that out to everybody so that everybody can see. Just,
Yes. So we'll
just
go over it.
send the whole
after
stack,
you
and then
receive.
people can pick it up.
Yeah.
And then just send them down the line so that you can follow with what she's saying. She put 20 different things here, ingredients to avoid in food and supplements. It's a good start for you guys, just a good start. All right. Thank you for preparing this for us. Appreciate it. Oh yeah, titanium dioxide is a big one.
Yeah. Okay, so does everybody have one yet?
We'll print a few more.
So I'll start with the beginning because this is a common one. So we're going to start with number 1, which is artificial sweeteners. We already talked about that, and it's already listed there. So it's going to be aspartame, sucralose, saccharin. There's other artificial sweeteners that you should be aware of, but these are the most disruptors that are going to be. So, and what do? These disrupt your gut health, and they're linked to metabolic disorders. Number 2, high fructose corn syrup. This causes insulin resistance, obesity, and liver damage. Hydrogenated oils, trans fat, they increase inflammation, heart disease risk. Number 4, vegetables and seed oils like canola oil, soybean oil, corn, sunflower, safflower, cottonseed. And these are highly processed and cause inflammation. This one is a big one, monosodium glutamate. This is MSG. They add this to snacks and like different, like even like Chinese
Chick-fil-A.
food, Chick-fil-A, all of these processed
That's
foods.
why you keep going back.
They make you addicted.
To eat
They
their
make
crap.
you want more. So be careful with this.
But it's a Christian company, yeah, right,
yeah.
okay.
They overstimulate nerve cells and they're linked to headaches and brain health issues. Sodium nitrates and nitrates, these are found on processed meats like deli meats. So be careful with that. It's very hard to find nitrate-free, deli meat, plus the process of that is horrible, so you don't really want to eat that. Anyway, then BHT and BHA, these are other preservatives that are synthetic and they're linked to hormone disruption and cancer. Artificial food dyes like red 40, yellow 5, 6, blue 1 and 2. Carrageenan, this is in dairy alternatives, but now I have seen it in dairy too. So if you use like half and half or like heavy cream, now they put carrageenan in all of these. So yeah, they put it because this is like a binder, so it kind of like keeps things together. And this is very bad. It causes gut inflammation and digestive problems. Titanium dioxide, this is in so many things, toothpaste, supplements, and it's very hard to even get away from it because, when you're looking at ingredients, you find it in so many things.
It's also one thing that they put in the chemtrails.
Wow.
Think about that.
Then fluoride. Fluoride is in toothpaste, also mouthwash, even in some supplements. This is a neurotoxin. It affects the brain function and thyroid health. Soy protein isolate.
So if you are using fluoride toothpaste, immediately throw it out. Go get plant-based.
There is alternatives.
There's alternatives.
Yeah, I mean, you do want to have something that is going to help remineralize your teeth because you don't want to get cavities. So you want to use something. That has hydroxyapatite. Hydroxyapatite is a mineral that is going to help remineralize the teeth, and that ingredient is going to be present in mineral toothpaste.
I actually use 3 different ones. I brush 3 times a day with 3 different ones. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the key is to keep your
the
pH.
one you gave me, and then I have other ones. A couple I got from Turkey, and then I'd use the Desert Essence.
Yeah, that's a very good one too.
But get rid of fluoride.
Yeah, and the key is to manage the acidity. So if you can manage that, you can actually prevent cavities naturally. But don't think if you have a big hole in your tooth, you can remineralize it with toothpaste. That doesn't happen. Okay. But go to the dentist. Soy protein isolate. This is a highly processed soy, and it can disrupt hormones, like especially in men. Like you don't want to eat anything with soy. Natural and artificial
Makes
flavors.
You gay.
Yeah. It gives you estrogen.
Soy boy.
Number 14, potassium bromate and brominated flour. This is banned in many countries due to carcinogenic properties. Number 15, propylparaben. This is a preservative linked to endocrine disruption and reproductive toxicity. Sodium benzoate and potassium benzoate. This is in a lot of stuff. Can form benzene and is a known carcinogen when combined with vitamin C. A lot of people take vitamin C on a daily basis, so be careful, be on the lookout for that. Number 17 is polysorbate 80 and 60. These are emulsifiers that may affect gut health and immune function. Acesulfame or ACE-K, artificial sweetener linked to potential cancer risk and altered metabolism. Gums like xanthan gum, guar gum, locust bean gum, they put all these on to thicken. Like when you're drinking this, like oatmeal, what is oat milk?
Oh, it's some of the most bad stuff. That oat milk stuff is terrible.
Like oat milk.
A lot of these alternative milks, you gotta be careful.
All those alternative milks, they have all those gums to keep them together and to make it thick, like milk. Then also
look at the ingredients. There's like ones that says only 2 ingredients: organic almonds and water, right? Or something like that, or sea salt, whatever. But if you got like 15 ingredients in it, don't.
And then number 20, heavy metals. Be aware of heavy metals like lead, mercury, arsenic, cadmium, and it could be in supplements. All
and I talked about the cadmium from chocolate.
Absolutely.
Coffee and chocolate high in cadmium.
Your cookware is really toxic. So, be careful where you buy it. Even if you think that you're buying stainless steel, read really well all the fine print, because a lot of times it's not full stainless steel.
Yeah, it's cheap stuff from China.
Yeah.
Seriously. Ceramic, you can use ceramic, stainless steel, or good old-fashioned cast iron. You just got to take good care of it, though. But Teflon, all that, throw it away. It's all toxic. Teflon was actually produced for tanks and military equipment, and then they figured out it's non-stick. Hey, let's make pans out of it. Okay. It was developed for the military, and then now it's in everybody's home. Microwave. Stop using microwaves. Microwaves are very bad. What you're doing is you're actually radiating the food, and the radiation is in the food, and you eat it, the radiation is going in you. You're actually microwaving yourself. Do not. So we don't use microwave. I just heat everything back up in the either little toaster oven, just stick it in there, or just on the pan and whatever, but I don't do anything microwave. I don't think we've used our microwave in months. So my mom was at the house and she was getting my plate and she was gonna put it in the microwave. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Don't, just give it to me and I'll put it in the toaster oven, you know, and just warm it that way. I don't want to be radiated. Microwave was also developed for the military, by the way, and then now they discovered, hey, on the side we can use it to heat stuff. They actually realized that, and the guys were heating up their coffee in the laboratory, and then some genius said, hey, let's make this an oven and sell it to everybody and put it in everybody's kitchen. I've studied all this out, man. It's crazy.
No,
Yeah.
Pastor, I heard this girl on Instagram. She said she had lost 120 pounds. She was very overweight, but and unhealthy, and struggling with all this inflammation, disease, and everything. And she said her and her husband went on a plan, and you know what their rule of thumb was? If it wasn't around 100 years ago, they didn't eat it.
That's it. That would make sense.
They made it very simple.
Yeah. And another thing, 100 years ago, like the nutrition you would get from one apple 100 years ago is not the nutrition you're gonna get from an apple now. You might have to eat 5 or 6 or 7. That's why you are gonna need supplements. And we'll talk about supplements next week. And you better know what supplements you're getting. There's a lot of crap. All the supplements at Walmart or Walgreens, useless. You're wasting your money. You might as well just take your money, flush it down the toilet. Your body's not even gonna absorb it. It's not even organic. So, you know, we gotta teach you about supplements as well. So that's another thing we'll get into next week. But you're through this, right? Just quickly cover what we handed out, and then we'll take questions. Do they have it? Yeah. Just start.
Okay, guys, so this sheet is gonna have a breakfast, a lunch, and a dinner where you will have to fill out either good or bad reactions with each meal. So whatever symptom you're feeling at that time, then just put a check mark next to it. You're gonna be able to see whether you're having more good reactions or bad reactions. And basically, it's gonna be the same for lunch and dinner. And by the end of the day, you should be able to see whether what you're eating is actually doing what your body needs to be. But usually, it's pretty simple. Again, a lot of it is, are you feeling full? Are you not hungry an hour later, 2 hours later? If you're hungry after a meal, 2 hours later, you did something wrong. Your body needs something different. So when you're able to identify this with this sheet, then you can start tweaking your meals. Maybe a little bit more fat, maybe a little bit more protein, and a little bit less carbs. Or you do well with 30% carbs, 20% fat, and then the rest protein. You're just gonna have to figure that out and see what your body does best with. But this is gonna help really give you a basic understanding of it. And then again, just being in tune with your body is what's most important.
Okay. So I know this was probably information overload, right? How many of you this was information overload? Oh, it's not too bad. A few. The video will be made available. You can go back and watch it. But listen, you're gonna have to, just like anything else, you're gonna have to go put in time outside of this. You can't just rely on this 2 hours that we give you, but there's so much out there, you know, that you can learn. Follow me on Instagram at Corey Ehrman. I share a lot, you know, from the world, and then I share a lot about, you know, health and food and stuff like that. You know, so usually on my stories, you can see some of these things that I'll share, and I'll always send them to you and to you guys, and some of the ones that are in the health field. There's some crazy stuff out there that you find out. So, okay, so let's take questions. Who's gonna run the mic? Okay, Vaughn has the mic. Who has a question right over there? Okay. Is it, and if it's for a specific person, call them out, or just if it's general?
I have two questions. What about air fryers? And what about the fruits that says seedless?
I can't hear you. Air fryers?
Air fryers.
Air fryers.
And then fruits that have seedless. I haven't been able to find any fruits that have seeds in them.
Seedless fruits. Yeah, it's probably geoengineered, GMO, seedless fruit. Air fryers, we used to use one until I found out that they're not good for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's some non-toxic air fryers, but you gotta look and you gotta get like a whole all glass.
But my thing was what it does to the fats. That it was doing, I can't remember, but it does something to the fat that is not good for you. But also you got to be careful because most of the time they're coated with Teflon inside, non-stick Teflon, and that's the other problem. But also something about, does anybody know about them? I know that there's some research out there about what they do to the fat, like, okay. We can't hear you.
I said it's probably related to the high temperatures of fat.
It's something
like
about
frying.
it's
like
something about what it does to the
something in high temperatures. Yeah.
It's something about what it does.
Changes the chemical.
Exactly, changes the chemistry of the fat that becomes toxic or it becomes unhealthy for you.
You don't want to cook the nutrients out of your food either.
Yeah, you don't want to cook the nutrients out of your food either. You don't want to
do it.
Von, there's a, okay, sorry.
I have about 10 or 12 issues in my body. And even today, I almost passed out at the pharmacist. My blood sugar went to 100. My blood pressure went to 187. And I haven't been able to sleep for a long time. I wrote down the list as I was sitting here, and I really don't know where to start first. I know I started taking berberine 3 days ago. It's all natural from a neurologist. And
Well, you're going to need a coach. You're going to need somebody to coach you.
I need a coach.
I don't know, talk to either Gloria or Daniela, but she does have a program, but they're going to need to probably run some functional labs on you to find out what's going on. And you can't just go take stuff. You know, I took, core berberine, I'm taking this, or somebody said St. John's Wort is good for you. But, there's a lot of stuff, but you got to know what you need specifically,
Yeah. Does sugar alcohol turn into sugar? Does sugar alcohol turn into sugar?
So the sugar alcohol is not gonna have a glycemic impact. It doesn't mean that it's healthy. It just means that it's not gonna have a glycemic response. Your sugar shouldn't go up when you're eating sugar alcohol like erythritol. And the berberine, you just have to be careful with which berberine you got, because you can buy something that says berberine, but it doesn't mean that it's gonna have the dosage that you need or anything like that. So you do have to work with someone one-on-one so that you can actually get to the root cause of the problem, and that's it.
Okay. Yes, next question over there.
I don't have so much as a question, but I wanted to add to the idea about cooking. You have to be careful when you combine protein with sugar, especially at high temperatures, because it causes something called AGES, AGES, which is advanced glycated end products, causes oxidative stress. So anything like that's barbecued is really bad for us, especially like barbecued ribs, something like I love. But it does cause these things that cause oxidative damage, which I don't want to go into now, but
Yeah.
just wanted to add that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yes.
You mentioned reading the ingredients on the package, but are they obligated by law to name all of the ingredients?
Not necessarily. And then what they're doing right now is they're putting like this generic things in there, bio something. It usually means some kind of insect protein or all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But and you got to be careful with this label called Appeal by the Bill Gates. So, but like I said, stick to organic and try to use the Yuka app. It's going to tell you what additives are in there, and it's going to rate it from a 0 to 100, and it's going to tell you You know, it might even say organic, and you scan the barcode, and then you find out that there's like 3 or 4 different additives in there. It'll tell you this is mild, this is, you know, but some of them could be, you know, you don't want to have any additives in there, right? Yes, back there.
You mentioned air fryer being bad. Does that include Instapot and other things like that?
Instapot?
Yeah, Instapot. It's like a...
Well, Instapot is different. Instapot is like a slow cooker. Yeah. You just got to make sure that it's stainless steel, not Teflon. Okay. We had a Teflon one. I threw the thing out and got a stainless steel one. You know, so you got to make sure that it's stainless steel, because if it has Teflon, it's got you know, it's toxic. You mean like a pressure cooker type, or a slow cooker or a pressure cooker? Yeah. Just make sure it's stainless steel. Yes, question back there.
We talked a little bit about root canals. What are other suggestions for people as alternatives to root canals?
I'll let the dentist, hygienist answer that. Dental hygienist.
So an alternative to a root canal is, it would be an extraction and then doing a zirconia implant. But the alternative would be to not get there, right? You know, start with prevention. So like my focus is on prevention, you know? So if, like for example, some things we can't change, things that already happened, right? You already had a cavity, you already, you know, lost a tooth or anything like that, but we can actually teach our children and take them from an early age through the proper protocols, you know, so that they don't have to deal with a root canal. They don't have to lose a tooth. And, you know, unfortunately, that is the only other option. Other than that, there's nothing else.
And I'm going to tell you right now, there was, I think was it Gloria or was my wife? I can't remember. But the dentist here said, oh, you need a root canal. In Turkish, the dentist said, no, you don't. I can work with this without a root canal. They'll try to go to a root canal right away here to just make more money, that's all. It's just so terrible.
Well, make sure that you go to someone that you can trust and that actually has your best interest. Like, for example, where I work, my dentist doesn't do any of that work. Even if you needed a root canal, he's not gonna do it because he doesn't even do it. So, you know, he will always try to give you sometimes people are told that they need a root canal and they don't need a root canal, like Pastor Corey said. Yeah. But most of the time when people know that they need a root canal, they're in pain, and that's probably the only route. But obviously the other route is to remove it.
Yeah, extraction and get a zirconium implant. It's going to cost a lot of money, but it's about not getting cancer. Seriously.
Yes. Years ago, because of Dr. Bernstein, I stopped having gluten, even though from time to time I sin. But lately I have not. But I do like very much corn tortillas and salsa. Because it's corn, then it's not gluten. So.
Well, I use chickpea tortillas, cassava tortillas by Siete. Now they've been bought out by one of the big firms, so Pepsi bought them out. So a lot of these mom and pop or smaller organic stuff is being bought out by the big foods, so we'll see what happens to them. But corn, again, you got to be careful, make sure that it's not GMO corn and all that stuff. But I guess, you know, corn is okay. Huh? No? I don't really eat corn chips or anything, so I don't know.
Corn is, most corn is GMO, no, even if it says no GMO. But besides that, it doesn't have any nutrients.
It doesn't, yeah, you can't really digest. I can't digest corn, so I don't eat it. Ugh. Sorry.
I have a comment and a question for the hygienist, but the comment, I learned something today and I haven't had the time to research it, so you guys might want to do that. But someone told me that the way to find out whether something's really organic when you go to the grocery store is to look at the barcode. And if the first number is an 8 or a 9 is like perfect, which you'll hardly ever see, meaning there's no pesticides. An 8 is great, and even a 7. But if it's anything lower than that, that means it has a lot of pesticides. So again, I don't know if this is true.
Another way to find out if something is organic, leave it out and see if it rots quickly.
Yeah, but if you're going to go and buy it, you don't know that when you're buying it, though. You know what I'm saying when you're grocery shopping. But yeah, that's perfect. How can a dentist identify whether or not you have an infected root canal if you're not in pain?
They did a tomography. They did a 3D tomography, and then they could see it.
Yeah.
Would only your type of dentist be able to do that, or do a tomography, or? No. Like I have one in my mouth. Let's say I want to go and find out if it's infected.
Yeah, so the rule of thumb nowadays, if you believe that root canals are detrimental to your health, you just have to assume that it is. But a CT scan, they can actually see if it is. And there's many dentists that have CT scans now. They don't have to be holistic or anything. You can just request if you can do a CT scan of that area, and they will do it. And it might not even show any infection, but just know that at the microscopic level, there is a low-level infection in there, just lingering.
Yeah.
I was wondering, if you buy organic corn, can you assume that it's non-GMO?
For me, corn is just doesn't have any nutrients, anything beneficial to you. It's non-digestible, and I don't know what Gloria thinks about corn.
Yeah, your body can't digest corn, so I mean, if you can stay away from it, it'd probably be best for you. Most corn is GMO'd, even if it says organic. The only difference is organic is not pesticides. Doesn't mean it's not genetically modified.
If it comes out whole, don't eat it.
Yeah, and I want to say something about wheat. I want to say something about wheat. So there was something called the wheat revolution in the United States back in the 50s, where they changed the wheat. The original wheat. So we buy this brand called Jovial einkorn, the original wheat. It comes from Italy. And that's why Italians eat all this pasta, but they're thin, because they don't have all this gluten. They only have 2 strains and 2 grams of gluten in the original wheat. They've added 12 strains and 12 grams of gluten and modified it in the 50s and made it taller, bigger, instead of 2-sided, 4-sided, all of this. It was all about money. So even if it says organic, it's just not the original seeds. So gluten is very bad for you. One of the major issues I think people have with gut health and weight and leaky gut and all this stuff in America is the gluten. Gluten is that sticky substance. It literally sticks into your gut lining, and it just sticks there, and it's like glue. It's very bad, and it causes all the toxic, everything gets in there and just thrives and destroys your gut health and everything. So you got to go gluten-free, and then you got to find a way to flush the gluten out. I did it through colonics. I could see all that sticky, yellowish stuff come out for the first 3-4 times I did it. It was horrible looking. It was like this. It was like, it's bad. And then of course, just go no gluten, gluten-free, wheat-free, and occasionally once or twice a month, we'll do the einkorn with me and Gloria. That's it. But it's the organic, the original wheat with 2 strains of gluten, not 14, since they've changed it. So that's another thing. Or just go gluten-free.
Gluten-free things, they add sugar to them, though.
Exactly, gluten-free. You got to look at what's in it.
You got to look at it.
And one of the biggest scams is all natural. Anything that says all natural is a big scam. Doesn't mean anything. Everything's all natural. All natural chicken with, 5 eyes. Okay. Yes, ma'am, over there, here.
I heard that almond milk is not good for you because of this. If they're using the skin of the almonds, it's bad on inflammation.
I'm not hearing.
I don't know.
Almond milk. Yeah, what about it?
I heard it was bad for inflammation if they're using the skin of the almonds.
I tried it. I don't like it. I've found the one that's only 2 ingredients, organic almonds and water, whatever, but I don't like it. I don't have a problem with whole milk, a little bit. We used to drink raw milk, man. Boil it and drink it. If you can get raw milk, it's better. They tell you it's bad. They told everybody butter was bad. They told everybody eggs were bad. They told everybody everything was bad, FDA, and they turned Americans obese. They destroyed, and the tobacco companies bought out the food companies and used their same engineers to genetically modify the food and make it more addictive. People are addicted to food in America, and the food is chemically polluted, and it's very unclean. That's why you have to make a radical choice. And you may say, Pastor, that's going to cost me money. It's expensive to eat clean and organic food, but it's going to be more expensive for you later when your health crashes. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Questions. The first one you have here listed titanium dioxide. I was told that it's very good on sunscreens. That's the one you need to use all the time. You don't want to use all these other stuff. It's like
sunscreen with titanium. Sunscreens are very toxic.
Yeah.
Sun lotions, sunscreens are very toxic. I wouldn't use that stuff.
When you go out to take sun, what do you do? What do you put on?
I mean, we do need vitamin D, but you are correct. I have heard what she said about the titanium dioxide being in the sunscreen and that those are better. But in reality, sunscreens are not good because most of them have toxic ingredients like titanium dioxide and more. But I'm not an expert on that, to be honest, to tell you.
Maybe you
exactly.
should make lotion. She's making lotions.
Making lotion.
She's creating lotions. Maybe you should create something.
We can make one that has zinc, and the zinc will block the UV rays, to protect your skin.
I think it's zinc oxide.
Oh, zinc oxide. Okay.
Yeah, that one.
Zinc oxide. Yeah, not titanium
is,
oxide.
Yeah. Zinc. We can do zinc for sunscreen.
You got a new product idea.
Yeah.
Has anybody bought any of her lotions? She's making homemade lotions. What products do you have for your lotions?
I have a body butter that is made with shea butter, cacao butter, and essential oils. Did you try it? Did your mom give it to you? No? Nicole. Yeah. And I made a muscle rub with magnesium, and Butch has used it. Yeah.
It works really good, and she gave me some last week, and I started using some on my muscles where I was having pain, and it takes the pain right away.
Yeah.
Praise God. Hallelujah.
Well, magnesium is one of the most important minerals. It's over 3,000, has 3,000 different functions in the body, and there's different kinds of magnesium. So maybe next week we can get into some of that stuff.
Oh,
all right. Yes.
My other question is, you mentioned cadmium?
Cadmium.
Okay, cadmium. So you don't want that in chocolate and coffee?
Well, it could be in other things, but chocolate and coffee is notorious for having cadmium. But it could be in a lot of other things.
One of my licenses is medical esthetician, so this is kind of my playground. The higher the number on your sunscreen, the more chemicals in it, and after the number like 12, you really don't need any more than that. But if you're really a stickler for your skin, high levels of vitamin A, but it has to be like retinol acetate or retinol palmitate, which are the fatty ester forms of vitamin A. And I've been a stockist, if you will, for a skincare company out of Cape Town, South Africa called Environ, and you guys can look it up under Derma Concepts online. And, they have some really good medical grade products for your skin.
Okay. Are we done or we got? Okay, one more and then.
My question is is there any partial fast, that will help to get healthier? Because I read a lot about fasting, and I do fasting from time to time, especially when I need to get answers from the Lord.
No.
Honestly, because I don't like to fast, I like to eat. But I'm honest.
Intermittent fast. Yeah, fasting has, I mean, we can get into fasting. You guys have done some fasting. I've done fasting. Fasting helps flush stuff out. Yeah. I mean, you can study up on that.
So intermittent fasting, I mean, you can do, and you have to be careful, after like 35, women especially, because our hormones, and we gotta do it correctly, where we're not fasting like you wanna do your fast when you're older, like during the night more than during the day, because your hormones need fats and they need like the proteins that you're ingesting. So you can really stress your body and cortisol levels can rise. But I mean, fasting has tremendous benefits. We are huge proponents of fasting. And
so is God.
yes. And God is so amazing because he created a perfect system where, when you fast, your cells go through a process called autophagy, where the old cells got recycled and get rid of all the bad stuff and brand new ones, stronger form. So you're gonna be brand new and ageless, but just be careful when you do it and just kind of like instruct yourself to know.
Mm-hmm. Last question.
Okay, I know this sounds silly, but like, does Nutella have that? You said it, chocolates and
What?
Oh.
She wants to know if
Nutella is bad.
Addicted to Nutella in the past. So
Nutella is bad.
it's very bad. It's very bad. Nutella is
Full of junk.
worse. The first ingredient is sugar.
And it's got a bunch of stuff in it. Palm oil, emulsifiers, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, Nutella is not good. You want to say yes? Last comment, I guess we're going to close out, unless there's another question.
So I just wanted to say something before we close out, because many people don't know anything about me, but I can resonate with all these ladies, because at one point in my time in my life, I got to 380 pounds. I was
380?
Yes.
Wow.
I was on Accutane, then they put me on steroids, and I just swole up. And I went to several doctors. I had a cardiologist, I had a gastrointestinal. None of the doctors spoke to each other. I was in the emergency room back to back to back, misdiagnosed, so many different things that was going on in my body. And one night I was done, because I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen to my family. I just feel like every night I can't go to sleep. I'm just gonna die. And I cried out to the Lord, and I heard him loud and clear, stop taking the pills. I was on 17 different pills. And I said, it's either I just heard from the Lord and I'm gonna stop the pills and I'm gonna live, or I'm gonna die and I go to heaven, and either which way it's a win-win. So I stopped taking the pills, and the Lord led me, for my body type, he led me on a vegan diet. And the reason for that is because my body produced too much mucus. So when I put in meat in my body, when you eat meat, your body produces mucus to break down meat. My body's over too much mucus, and he led me on a vegan diet. In addition to that, he led me on fasting. I was fasting a lot, and I was doing it while I was led by the Lord. And I also started reading my Bible a lot, and what many people don't realize, because everything that we're going through in life right now is because of convenience. We are lacking knowledge, we're lacking education, and we're lazy. And because we're lazy, our body is paying for it. So for example, like I was on high blood pressure medication. They wanted to put me on cardiologist. I was on all the machines. It's so much things. But the two things that I did immediately to start bringing down my blood pressure naturally was pomegranate. He speaks about it highly in the Bible. Pomegranate can naturally bring down your blood pressure. Eating beets, the color of blood, food that are the color of blood helps your blood. Many people don't know that. And when I started my journey, I was just doing it led by the Lord. I mean, I came to a point that I was doing natural products. I made my own products for my hair. I made my own deodorant. I made my own lotion. Everything in my, I never used to wear makeup because that's what was breaking out my face and my body.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make the changes. But for me, I'm kind of like you, in an essence. I went cold turkey because my body got to a point that it was life and death, and I had to choose life.
Wow.
So I cut it all off.
Crazy.
And for me, everybody could do things different. I never got on a scale. I never got on a scale because for me, it wasn't about the number. How I measured myself was actually with a belt. And as the lots came down more and more, I knew I was losing weight. And the only time I knew my weight is when I actually went to my doctor to do like a final everything, and I ended up firing my cardiologist, is when he told me my weight. And the doctors then came in and they look at my chart because it just dropped where I was before and where I was now, because I'm at least 180 pounds right now. So to go from 380 to 180, it was shocking. And what made me change is because I'm from the Virgin Islands, and the area code in the Virgin Islands is 340. I weighed more than where the area code of where I was from. And I was like, what in the world?
Area code?
The area code for the phone number is 340, and my weight was 380. That was ridiculous.
What's your goal?
I never really had a goal. It was just health.
Okay.
I just wanted to become healthy. I wanted to become education on health and go back to medicine and go back to the way how things was doing back in the days, because it wasn't broken. They didn't need to fix it. We just got lazy and they tried going this way for money.
That's it. And so, listen, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And we are trying to, really whet your appetite in a sense. We gave you, it was a big information download probably. For some of you maybe, it was a lot. For others, it was like, yeah, okay, I'm familiar with some of this or maybe more. But we'll continue next week. But I want to thank my panel. And some of you are going to need help, that you won't be able to do it alone. But you need to just commit to continually learning something new every day. You can continue to accumulate more knowledge, more information, and be careful. A lot of people will come to you. People come to me all the time. As soon as they hear me talk about health and stuff, people come to me, hey, they're always making suggestions of this product, that product. I tried this one, it was great. It doesn't really work that way, What worked for somebody may not even work for you at all, or they just know one thing here, something else there. So you need to have a holistic understanding, and that takes time to develop that kind of information, but it's all possible. And if you really, really, really want to go all the way, there are certification programs and other things you can do. She's certified, so is Daniela, and then they can also, work with functional labs and other things that you need to have. They can look at your blood, they can look at, I guess, you do urine, blood, stool, and the saliva, and then even hair and stuff like that. So, to see where you're at. And there's also devices. My doctor uses something called Zyto. You put your hand on it and start scanning biomarkers. There's another thing out there that I'm actually looking into, because I want to actually start a health and wellness clinic type of a thing here, like something. But I need to know, I don't want to jump to it right away, but, we want to be able to help people here. I really want to, and then I want to make it a part of the healing school, that there's actually a couple of days of education. People come to healing school and then they're still sick because they go drink Coca-Cola. Whatever. So